This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James, and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are well off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs and talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Josh Radcliffe is here to talk about two very different movies. One, a spy spoof, and the other, a horror thriller, Casino Royale and The Cell. Welcome!
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. I mean, compared to the last episode, getting ready for this one was difficult.
Yeah, no, this one was a lot. I have no history with these movies at all. Okay. This was the first I had seen both of them.
Okay.
So I was very ill-prepared as of 2 days ago.
Okay.
When I watched these. Because, like, with Austin Powers, which is what we did last time,
yeah,
I had seen them all before and was obsessed with one of them for a good chunk of my childhood.
Yes.
However, these, I know I'm aware of them, and I remember The Cell coming out and it being, like, a thing.
Yeah.
But I had never seen it because I was 12 when it came out. So I went on for a ride this time.
You did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason why I thought you'd be good for this was because this Casino Royale with Peter Sellers and who's the actual main guy in this movie?
David Niven.
David Niven was like the base of Austin Powers. So
yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Really cool to, sort of revisit and see the similarities and all that kind of stuff in there. And then, because it's alphabetical, The Cell came with it, so you were stuck. It was fine.
That's right. I mean, together at last. Am I right? It was just going on one stream to the other.
So good. Yeah. So, I mean, I must admit, though, watching both of these movies were painful in two very different ways. So I spaced out watching these days apart.
Yeah. I watched them both in a row, one after the other.
Okay.
I had to stop a whole bunch in Casino Royale.
Okay.
Because I was writing down notes and I felt like I was just missing things.
Yeah.
I would look down and be like, wait, what? Who is that? What is happening now?
Well, yeah, random people would show up, random stuff was happening, and you're like, this doesn't fit into anything in any way, shape, or form.
It is the craziest structured movie.
Yes.
And there are also, how many James Bonds are there in?
Well, technically, every single spy in the movie is 007 James Bond. So there's 8 of them, I think they talk to directly.
Yeah.
But tangentially, all spies are 007 that work with MI6 or whatever.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of an intriguing kind of thing. Yeah, because what was weird was that it came out in 1967.
Yes.
Which is before they changed James Bonds.
Yes.
So that was the same year as
Sean Connery was James Bond, yes.
So it was You Only Live Twice was coming out that same year. But it sort of makes reference to the fact that they're changing personas.
Yeah, well, because that was the thing I found interesting about this movie is that they've, it's always been a fan theory that the way James Bond works is that 007 / a name James Bond is really just a pseudonym that gets moved on from person to person, whoever takes this level, right? But in this, they're just yeah, I'm the original James Bond. Yeah, that guy can have it. But that guy's a dick. Don't let that guy have it.
Yeah.
You're just what?
Which I thought was a fun, they're throwing shade at Sean Connery, that oversexed maniac.
And then of course, the Peter Sellers James Bond they bring in, he's completely oblivious. And actually, the original James Bond's also kind of not oblivious to the sex part of it, but he's just I'm good.
So to ruin his celibate image.
Yes, which I thought was an odd way to put it.
Oh, it was, and it's then the horniest movie I've ever seen. It was the weirdest and super uncomfortable amount of horny.
Yes, I sat there a lot of the time with my mouth agape going, what?
I think throughout the whole evening of watching, the phrase, oh no, came out of my mouth to no one. I was alone. Oh no.
Oh, me too. Half my notes are, oh, look, this happened. What is that? What? Huh? What is going on? And then 3 notes later, what is happening? 3 notes later, huh? 3 notes later, that's just how it is. So
my first note was about what the video store clerk said to me when I rented it, which was, "Is this the one you want?"
I mean, that is a legit question.
Yeah. Are you sure? Wait, you meant Daniel Craig, right? Like you got the wrong little tab. You meant the one.
You're like, remember this one is 67.
Yeah.
So it's not the same one that came out that has all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's the other one.
Which is actually like the 2006 one is my favorite James Bond movie.
I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and like I've seen it 100 times, and I'm like, oh, I can. And what was weird is this one sort of had sections where it followed that structure.
And that's the thing. I was watching it, and at certain points, I was like, oh, this is the actual storyline from this movie, and then this is where the Austin Powers part comes in. Oh, this is the part from the movie. Oh, this is where the Austin Powers and it just kept going back and forth with the different references. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So shall we go into just like we'll start with Royale, right? That was the first one I watched.
Okay. Yeah.
And we can kind of go through how that works because I would like some clarification.
Well, so first thing, the first thing I found out about this movie after I finished watching it, and I was doing a little research because I was just confused about all of this, was it has 6 directors.
Yeah.
6 different directors, and each director had a specific thing they were directing. Okay. Right? So they have a guy named Val Guest. He directed scenes with Woody Allen and additional scenes with David Niven. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then there was Ken Hughes, and he did all the Berlin scenes. Then there was John Huston, who did the scenes with Sir James Bond's house and the castle in Scotland, which is like the first 20 minutes of the movie. Then there's a guy named Joseph McGrath, who did scenes with Peter Sellers, Ursula Andress, and Orson Welles. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's
the dream cast.
Yeah, that part, and the part with like the round bed, and he's like doing costume changes.
Yes, and he's like, "Do I make you horny, baby?"
Yeah, and I was just like,
Randy.
Yes. I was just like, "Oh my god, this is so horrible." And then there was Robert Parrish, who did scenes with Peter Sellers and Orson Welles. Peter Sellers and Orson Welles apparently hated each other. Yeah. And their scenes were filmed completely separately. Like, Peter Sellers was talking to a wall, Orson Welles was talking to whatever. Yeah. In their separate scenes. Yeah. That's why that scene came across so weird. And apparently Richard Talmadge did the finale. Okay. So...
I mean, I guess that would account for why it's so disjointed.
Yes, because every scene looks so different from each other. People don't look like they're interacting, and I found out why. Right. And it just makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, Orson Welles is notoriously difficult. Yes. Like, he directed his own scenes for Third Man. Okay, yeah. And so, like, it's just... Like, he just doesn't take direction. Yeah. And
he does what he wants to do.
Yeah. Also, he got real fat a lot earlier than I thought he did. Yes. Steak au poivre. Like, he's... Yeah. So, like, I mean, I know that, like, later on, Orson Welles is sort of, like, a drunk and, like, having a lot of problems. At least that's the internet's version of it. Mm-hmm. And he was, like, his last role is for Transformers, the movie. Which is just a very depressing end to the person that made Citizen Kane. Yeah, he just did like a voice for it or whatever, and you're just like, oh no.
Okay. But at the time, Transformers were so cool.
Yeah. So. But it's Orson Welles.
Yeah, that's
it's
really
sort of
true.
like, oh no.
But that's kind of how he got his start, though, in like media. It was doing voice work and scaring people.
Yeah, so
it kind of fits, but I think that was supposed to be like put his voice in something really popular, and then his name's gonna get back out, and then he's gonna do more things again. But he died instead. Yep. So it didn't go well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Loved ice cream. I've heard that story from Peter Bogdanovich.
Loved ice cream?
He loves ice cream. Okay. Because he was living at Peter Bogdanovich's house for a long time.
You were saying these names like I'm like, oh, that guy.
Peter Bogdanovich is he's a film critic, but he also made Last Picture Show, and he's a filmmaker as well. Okay. I think probably more known as that. I think you'd probably know him if you saw his face. Okay. But he was like living with Peter Bogdanovich and stealing his ice cream, and apparently lit himself on fire by accident once because he fell asleep with a cigar in his mouth.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yep. These are the things you hear.
Yep. So he had some problems later on. But 67 is a lot earlier than I thought he was kind of. I mean, this I guess is his magic period because he's doing a lot of magic.
Yes. Well, because I was really wondering why. He was Le Chiffre, right?
Yeah.
Why was he a magician?
Famous magician Le Chiffre.
I was like, what the hell is happening? Why is the table levitating? What are these lights? What's going on? Again, what's going on is a thing that shows up very regularly.
Orson Welles loves magic. He did that movie called F for Fake, which is all just like magic trick movie things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, he just said, I'm going to do magic now. And everyone's going to clap for me doing magic, and that's the end.
I just sat there very confused, as, would be expected, I would hope.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think the people making the movie knew what was going on.
No. I mean, it seemed like it was a series of sketches, right?
Yes.
Like, it's very, like, there's the stuff with Sir James Bond in the castle, which is worrisome. And then there's, what's the part after that? Is the next part with...
That's the part where they go to the Scottish castle.
Right, so there's the Scottish castle part, and then is Peter Sellers right after that?
No, there's still something else. What's between... Oh, no, maybe that is right.
Right.
They get Peter Sellers, and then they introduce him to Ursula Andress, which is Vesper Lind. And then they do the whole weird dating thing, and then they go to the casino. But that's also like half the movie at that point.
Right. Well, there's also the Mata Bond part with Sir James Bond and Mata Hari's daughter, where she goes to spy school in Berlin.
But isn't that with... Oh, yes.
Is that before the... I think that's before the Peter Sellers. So I think it goes...
before the Peter Sellers?
I feel... It's at least before the big chunk of Peter Sellers.
Yes, it is. Because it's like... It's like... I think it's her, then you get introduced to Peter Sellers, and then they go back to her, and they do the whole thing, and then they come back. Yes, to Peter Sellers. Yeah.
And then there's the whole Woody Allen part just thrown on there at the end. Oh, he's introduced early on, too.
Yeah, but if for like 3 seconds, and you're just like, what? And then he shows up at the end, and I noticed his chair in his end scene looks like Dr. Evil's chair. I was like, what? That's where they got it from. Okay.
They knew.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I was just... This just goes all over the place.
Yeah. It has the craziest cast. That was my first note because it's got who I wrote down Jean-Paul Belmondo and Nicholas Roeg did. So Jean-Paul Belmondo was in Breathless, the Jean-Luc Godard movie, which is like one of the coolest movies ever for me personally because I'm giant.
I'm sorry, I'm shrugging.
I'm a giant film nerd person. Loves that movie.
Yeah.
It's like cool French 60s thing. So he plays the French Legionnaire at the very end in the saloon fight.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
And Nicholas Roeg he did additional photography on this movie, but he is a director as well. He did Don't Look Now, Walkabout, just like Man Who Fell to Earth, the David Bowie movie. That was him.
Okay.
That's cool. He did all kinds. He's like a European art director guy from the 70s and 80s.
Okay, because you seem to like all of those really artsy like films. I don't do art films that well because they I know they're supposed to be existential and like blow your mind and think differently and all that kind of stuff. And I just sit there going, what?
Yeah, well, Casino Royale did that for me more than any of those movies did.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think there's a good reason for it in this movie. That is for sure. Well, because who else do they have in here? Oh, no, we
talked about Orson Welles and Woody Allen.
Well,
and
I was surprised Ursula Andress was in it because she was the original Bond girl in Dr. No. They do make reference to Dr. Noah in this, which I was just like, haha, and see what you did there. So it's very interesting to see her in there and why she would do this.
Well, was she doing her real voice in this movie?
You know what? I don't know what her real voice is.
Yeah, exactly. Because she didn't do the voice in Dr. No.
No, she was British. She was a British sounding voice in Dr. No, right? Yeah.
Right. But that's all ADR. Like that's not her actual voice. They dubbed her over with somebody else.
Okay.
Because I don't think she is a native English speaker. I believe she's Swedish. I could be wrong.
So then maybe that was her real voice in this
It could have been, because I think she had kind of a funny accent in this.
Yes, she did. And I was just like, what is, are you trying to do something?
Right.
Or what's happening with that? So, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Has a great theme song.
Yes.
I wrote a note about that. It's Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Yes.
And that song was used in an SNL sketch that I love.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's why, I was like, I know this song. How do I know this song? And it's Will Forte dancing in the locker room to this song with Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Yeah. My brain, I'm a dysfunctional person.
No,
that makes weirdo connections.
I don't think that's a weirdo connection. I make some very odd connections sometimes too. I totally get it. Actually, talking about the music, Burt Bacharach did the music for this movie, which I thought was amazing.
It's another Austin Powers connection.
Exactly, because he brought in and he did What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love, or whatever, and that was one of the songs for this movie that they played several times throughout it, like snippets and all that.
It's a motif.
It's a motif. There you go. So I thought that was really interesting. I did like the very hyper, super psychedelic 60s sound of the movie.
Yeah.
Though. Like I loved the sound of it, but
there's some neat flourishes for sure. Like there's some photography techniques that are used later on and some film processing stuff that it's like really wild and interesting. I don't know what any of it meant, but it was neat.
Yeah, it was just like they were trying to throw stuff in there that I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the DVD cover and one of the quotes here is a spoof to end all spy spoofs. Yeah, because it will kill a genre. That's why.
Because no one would attempt it again after watching.
And that took another 30 years before it was attempted again. You know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So there you go. Almost killed it. Then it was revived.
Well, I remember there's like a quote from Pierce Brosnan about Austin Powers. And he just said, like, oh, yeah, they got us real good. We had to change everything we were doing after that because it was just a joke at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially with the Pierce Brosnan movies. Yes.
Yeah, no, they took a deep dive at the end of that.
Like, I don't think it was Pierce Brosnan's fault.
Oh, no.
It was just the movies he was put in were just garbage.
Yeah.
And, like, they were so ridiculous. Like, they weren't even... Like, they were spoofs of themselves. You know what I mean? Like, going over ice and your car turns into, like, an ice skating car that shoots rockets at, like, an ice castle.
No, we're talking about the bad ones.
Oh, we're talking about the bad ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Yeah. Oh, my God. Those, they're so bad.
Yeah, no, Die Another Day, I think, is the first time I ever left a movie, like, from the theater and went, that was bad. That was, because, like, when you're a kid... It's just like I like movies, and then that was the one that broke me. I was like, "Oh, this was terrible. This was not a good movie."
I can actually tell the difference between good and bad films now. What have I done?
Yeah, no, it was a straw that broke the camel's back on that one.
No, I think though what happens is as a kid, no matter what you see, everything is good because you don't really have anything else to compare it to.
Yeah.
But then you get to a certain age where you've seen enough that you get to compare things, and then you're just like. Oh, that's the difference.
Right.
You know, because you've been seeing squares all along and then you see a circle and you're like, what the shit?
That has no corners.
What? So, and either that circle is a good thing or a bad thing. It's up to your brain to figure that out. But still, you know, it's just,
Well, I already made it through Christmas Jones. I had no problem with that in World Is Not Enough. I was super into that.
I thought Christmas only came once a year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I believe the movie was based on that joke. They had that joke first, and we're going to build a movie around the cum joke.
Oh, it was so wrong. Like, I think I literally, like, I saw all of these movies in the theater horribly. And I think I audibly was just like, what? You know, just, it went too far.
Yeah.
Like, because every James Bond movie has at least two puns that, like, make you roll your eyes and sigh horribly and everything. But even that one, I was like, you've gone too far.
Yeah, nuclear scientist Christmas Jones.
Yeah, like,
Who dressed like Laura Croft.
Well, I mean, she was, you know, doing things in the field.
Yep.
So she had to dress the part. Booty shorts and a tight top. What else are you supposed to wear?
Yeah, you know, nuclear scientist costume. I know what I'm going as Halloween this year.
Nuclear scientist.
Nuclear scientist Lara Croft.
Love it. What else do I have here? I have a lot of random notes here. Title credits are ridiculous. Made it in a time when credits were the beginning of the movie, not the end. I don't know why I made a note of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's sort of in the James Bond kind of like all the James Bond movies have those lavish, huge credit sequences.
Yes,
like
they
that's
do.
like the big trope, right? So this was actually rather restrained for one of those. Like usually those have like boobs in it. Like that's like usually those are like the ladies.
Well, that's what I thought was really weird about it. It was
stuff.
just like letters that like had like cherubs and stuff blowing horns on the side of it, and it was weirdly drawn. And I was like, what is happening here?
It was also hard to read. I had issues with those first letters. I'm like, who's Eater Sellers? Oh, right.
Well, no, because the thing is when I say like the credits were at the beginning of the movie, I'm not talking about like just like title credits. I'm talking about like they had 90% of the movie credits overall at the beginning, and I don't know when that norm changed to the end of the movie, but it was sometime in like the 70s, I want to say, that happened. So I thought, like, I was just watching and I was like, these credits are crazy long. Like they're long, like even, well, I think too, like you were saying with the lavish openings of regular James Bond movies, it's fine. It's a 3-minute song.
Right.
You got this whole thing happening. You're not bored with it. But this, I was just like, it just keeps going. Why
it was quite long. Well, you got to get that Herb Alpert song all the way through.
All the way
boy.
through. Yes. It was quite, a little bit much.
Yeah, it's like Little Spanish Flea. They also did Little Spanish Flea. That's them.
I like Spanish Flea.
Yeah.
Now that's in my head. Great. And I also enjoyed the what was the other song? The Debussy song that they kept playing throughout. Because James Bond at the end of every day would play Debussy until the sunset or whatever.
Oh, really? Right.
That was part of the beginning of it, and they played it like 3 times in the movie, and I was like, I like this song, but you're killing it for me. Please stop.
Well, I mean, that director didn't know that the other one had put it in. So they were just like, we're going to put it in here. Look how clever I am.
Each of the 6 directors made completely separate movies and they just stuck it
That's
together.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is even happening? Also, I thought the anti-female spy device was my comment about that.
I don't remember. What was that?
So the anti-female spy device was to train male spies to repel sexual advances.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? So there was that whole scene where all the women were just coming at him and like rubbing up, and then he just like flipped them on the floor. And
that's rough stuff.
Horribly.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, and one of them's dressed as Honey Rider from Dr. No. Ursula Andress's character. She had like the little knife and the white bathing suit. That's
Did she really?
Yeah.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, I wrote that down as a note. But yeah, no, a lot of this movie has to do with not having sex with beautiful ladies.
Yeah.
That are throwing themselves at people. Which is a very odd thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of old British men.
Yes.
That are just like catnip to the ladies positive to this movie. Now, I think the night before I watched this, you know who Neil Breen is?
No.
So he is a big air quotes filmmaker. He's actually a real estate agent in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But he makes these movies, and I watched one on Friday night called Fateful Findings.
Okay.
And it's available for free on Pornhub. So
Thanks.
you can watch it there.
Yeah.
It's my plug for pornography. But he makes these movies where it's written, directed, edited, everything's done by him. He stars in it. And he's always sort of like this godlike figure.
Okay.
And one of these, the movie that I watched had a scene where this like young girl who is in high school is trying to seduce him. He's like, no, this is wrong. So it's just like this kind of weird trope.
Yeah.
As like a weird self-aggrandizing thing where people like have women throwing themselves at him, but they say no, because that's wrong. So they
No, but I think also it has to do with, it's a bit of a power trip as
Right,
well, right?
yeah.
Because I have this power over them that they want me, but they can't have
Right.
me kind of thing. It was really surprisingly off-putting how they did it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's, because I didn't have a problem with him saying no to women.
Yeah.
Because they actually do that in Austin Powers at one point in time, especially in the first one when what's her name? Mrs. Kensington. She's super drunk, throwing stuff, and he's like, no, it would be wrong, blah, blah, blah. I was fine with it. I didn't find anything offensive about it, whatever. But in this, it was literally like physically accosting people because they're in love with you.
Right.
And you're just like, what?
Oh, it is so squeamish and uncomfortable. I mean, the whole Scottish castle thing.
Oh my God.
Is rough.
Yeah.
Because it explicitly says how old they are.
Yeah, at one point he's like, "How old are you?" She's like, "I'm 17," and you're naked in a bathtub with her as she washes you.
Yeah, and he's conservatively 105 years old.
Yeah,
and not a young 105 years old.
like a nice wrinkly. 105.
He does not look good.
Yeah,
and this is not a good look on him.
Yeah.
That was a puzzling scene because I kind of lost the context of it. I was like, wait, why did he go to this castle?
Well, because
it was because M died.
Well, that's the thing. I watched half that scene and I was just like, because they kept saying M is this person, and then somebody was playing the wife because she was the only one who could do a Scottish accent, and I was like, but everybody there did a Scottish accent, and I was like, why are there all these women in this thing again?
Yeah.
And
so from what I gleaned, M died
in
off
the
in that explosion or off screen. I'm not sure. I know his hair got blown off, which I wrote down heirloom.
Yes, so did I actually.
Put down heirloom.
I did put down
as
heirloom.
in I found a joke.
I said my note is exactly ha 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 heirloom.
Yeah, that
is my note.
Mine retracted the ha ha ha. Just wrote heirloom.
Oh, okay.
So from what I understand, he's delivering the remains of M to his widow. Well, this is what Sir James Bond thinks.
Yes.
Now Smersh,
yes,
which is the evil corporation, is tricking him, and these are actually all Smersh agents, and they're there to, and I wrote this down, ruin his celibate image.
Okay.
And that's the plot of that whole act.
Okay. Like, you're not really answering any of my questions, even though that's more than what I previously knew about the scene in the movie. It just raises more questions to me personally. So I'm just gonna skip over it.
Okay.
And then there was that whole scene with like the weird like guards and the giant rock they were trying to throw at each other.
That was confounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was and why he's somehow so much stronger than these very large men. Because as I said, he's conservatively 187 years old.
He's probably 100 pounds wet.
Yeah.
And you have these like giant, I'm gonna say they're Scottish dudes because they were wearing kilts, I don't know, who are like 300 pounds, lots of muscles, all that kind of stuff. They couldn't pick up like a round ball thing, though it was probably very heavy and I probably couldn't pick it up, but they look like people who could pick it up.
Yeah.
Yet every one of them tried to pick it up and some horrible thing happened to them in that process.
It was a kind of a Three Stooges-y kind of like pratfalling scene.
Okay, you're insulting the Three Stooges right now. Don't do that. That's rude.
Well, I mean, safe to say, comedy has not changed in the last 50 years.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then apparently because he could pick up the boulder, the quote unquote widow falls in love with him.
Right. Which is at least, I think she's like almost age appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll give them that one.
Yes.
As that one not being creepy, and I wrote down that her goodbye scene was actually pretty funny.
For running away to go to the
nunnery?
nunnery?
Yeah. She just like, that's a nunnery over there, and then she just runs away. And I'm like, that's pretty good.
You're like, all right.
Yeah. And I think my next laugh was with sadly Woody Allen's first introduction scene. Was actually like a pretty good joke.
I'm gonna say yes. I was amused by it.
Yeah. So he's escaping. He escapes a firing squad. Jumps over the wall.
Yes.
And there's another firing squad on the end of that wall.
Yes.
It's pretty good. I mean, like, it was sort of a despite myself laugh. It's just like, oh no, it's Woody Allen. He's doing his Woody Allen thing.
When he showed up that early in the movie, I was very scared he was going to be in a lot of the movie and it would annoy me. But no, he shows up there and then he shows up all the way at the end of the movie for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what?
Yeah. No, they wanted to save their ace in the hole for the end there. Their timeless Woody Allen. I wrote down that this is his If I Did It.
What do you?
Oh, If I Did It was the book that O.J. Simpson wrote.
Oh my God. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those are not two things that I easily connect
Yeah,
to each
no,
other.
yeah.
But thank you for explaining.
Yeah, no, yeah. So this is this is Woody Allen's veiled confession.
There was actually one joke in there that I thought was pretty funny. It was during that same anti-female spy device thing where one of the guys was like, "Call me Coop." She was like, "That sounds like something for birds," and he's like, "That's me." And I thought that was really
okay.
funny.
I did not catch that. That's not a bad joke. That's pretty
It
good.
was like, of course, the way I said it is horrible, but you know, as clever banter, it's quite lovely.
That's a cute joke. Like that's a fun. That's a fun thing. I remember her saying that. And I think I just zoned out. It's like coop. Oh right, bird coop. And then I just like missed the. Because I've been watching a lot of Twin Peaks for the last few months, and like the main character's name on that it's Coop, and I'm like, I never put it together that like that's a bird coop.
Yeah, and chicks are birds at that point, right? So yeah, and that's why he's like, "That's me."
Yeah,
because I am for birds. There
pretty good. Pretty good.
I thought that was a good.
I think that was James Bond number 3 at that point.
Yeah,
who wasn't even. He didn't even have a section, did he?
No,
it was just like
in
that
the rest
one
of the
scene.
movie. It was just that one scene where she was like, she had all of like the male agents lined up, and she was making out with each one, and then decided that one was the good one to make out with, and then they moved to the bed for some reason. And
Mrs. Moneypenny's daughter.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes. So that was a whole other thing.
They could have just had it be Moneypenny and it not be specifically a very young girl.
Yeah. Well, no, but the thing is about Moneypenny though, like they make a small reference to it in this, is James Bond is always mean to Moneypenny in all of the movies. And even in this, the young Moneypenny mentions that, you know, she didn't have a good time or whatever. And I think James Bond actually says, "You're much better looking than I remember." Oof. So, yeah.
Timeless comedy.
Yeah.
Just holds up in today's climate.
You know, there's nothing mean or wrong about that at all. Yeah. No. Gotcha.
A 210-year-old man hitting on what I'm hoping is an 18-year-old girl.
Probably younger, 16, 17, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
One note I made here is like, I don't know what the fuck Baccarat is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's very difficult. I've heard the explanation of it before. I believe it's trying to get to 9.
Just to 9.
Right. It's sort of like, I believe the basis is sort of like blackjack, except you're going to 9 instead of 21. Okay.
And so the stuff that they're yelling all the time is
bonk. Yeah. It's just Baccarat words.
Okay.
I don't quite know. I've never played it. But that is the original Casino Royale. That is what they're playing. Yeah. So that is like a legit thing. Let's see. What if
because I realized in the newest one, of course, they're playing poker, but I think it's just because most people now don't know what Baccarat is. Right. Whereas back in the day when people did casinos, they did card games more regularly. They would know what that was easily, right? But now it's like...
Well, from my understanding, the book, I haven't read the Casino Royale book, the Ian Fleming book. Yeah. But I believe he goes pretty intricately into how to play it. Like there's like a whole section in it of how to play.
But that's the thing with the Peter Sellers James Bond. He is a Baccarat player who wrote a book about Baccarat. Right. Le Chiffre is a very big fan of his and has read his book, and that's why they team him up to beat him at Baccarat, because he's the only one who's good enough to beat him at it.
Which isn't like a bad idea. No. Like it's sort of like that's sort of a neat thing where it's like someone who wrote, like they would recruit someone who wrote like a book about how to like a foolproof way of winning this game, this is how we're going to like screw Le Chiffre over so he can turn or whatever it is. That's not bad. Yeah.
But they made it weird and made Le Chiffre a magician, and you know, I don't know. And 2 seconds before that, there was a fashion show, and he made people sexy on a round bed. I didn't get it. It's
God, I blocked that out of my memory.
Well, no, that was the one scene I was like, oh, here's the Austin Powers stuff. That's why he's a photographer. And,
right.
You know,
oh yeah.
Yeah, because he was like rolling around on the bed, and he was like, whatever, and they sort of switched spots. But I was like, oh, that's where it is. Yeah. Gotcha. I thought that was really, stuff. And
I
interesting.
think I did write one note about the anti-female spy device, which was he says he has a Kama Sutra black belt. Which,
okay.
you know what, that kind of made me laugh because he like lists off all these dumb like taekwondo, judo, Kama Sutra black belt, and it's just kind of a throw off kind of thing. You're like, wait, how do you do that? Is there some sort of certification I can get, or?
Well, you got to look into that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's maybe it's a '60s
maybe
thing.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe it's a secret society thing too as well. I liked it when they actually thought it was really weird when they went into. He first gets to the base and they go into like Hughes' lair.
Yep.
They're testing all the different devices and stuff. And for some reason, there's guys in the background in wetsuits doing archery. And it's like, why?
Yeah, it's like a biathlon. They're training for the Olympics.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they make an backhanded comment about like the wristwatch that they can see people at. They're like, oh, they got it from the Americans who got it from a comic strip. And I was like, oh, reference to Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
Yay.
Everyone's favorite James Bond trope is referencing Dick Tracy cartoons. I wrote down that there's a James Bond toad school.
I'm sorry, what?
So in that same scene, there is a little person dressed as a gnome.
Oh, yeah.
That is following him.
Yeah, and he was like, he's not very good at it.
Yeah.
I can see that he's following me. And he's like, that's our best security guard or
Yeah,
something?
that's the security man here.
Yeah.
Now, there's a close-up shot of the little person, and there's a large mushroom next to him, and it says James Bond Toadstool. And I don't know why. That was the most... that is what I want to go in... I want a full movie about what that is.
It's just how Q came up with the idea for this, to make this
Why?
thing.
I didn't need a full breakdown of that specific offhand sight gag.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth, I completely missed it.
Yeah, I froze for it. I went back, and I was like, wait, what is happening? Why is there what is that?
Oh my god, okay, I'm shrugging.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea whatsoever.
And I think the next part is Mata Bond, which is all the stuff in Berlin. That's my next note. That she's also creepy.
Oh, I made one comment before that part though, when they're checking him for his suit.
Right.
And he's like, how do you dress? Usually away from the window.
Right.
I don't know why I thought that was amusing.
That's not bad.
I thought that was amusing.
I think pretty much any reference to directional dressing is kind of funny. Like, it's a really fun dick joke.
Is that what it is, though?
It is a dick joke, yes. Because I have made that joke before. That is a dick joke.
Gotcha.
I think I said, I think my joke was like, if you have a direction that you dress, you should not be wearing sweatpants in public.
Okay, that's a good joke.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's a good one. And most people will probably agree with you.
Yep.
There you go. I did make notes. I made a note that I was supposed to look up about Mata Hari. And I felt so smart watching this because I was like, I know about Mata Hari because last week on Drunk History, they did a thing about Mata Hari. And I was like, I know something. It's teaching me stuff. Yeah. And I wrote down what I remembered, which was she was a world traveler who performed Indonesian dances and became rich as a dancer for the rich. And then they gave her money to spy, and then she was caught. And somebody lied about her, and then she was framed for something, and they killed her for the firing squad.
Right.
That's what I remember.
Okay. Yeah, that makes about sense. Like she spied for the British, correct?
Well, actually, she was given money by the Russians or the Germans at first, and she took the money but didn't actually spy.
Right.
And then she was given money by the British, and then she was like, you know what, I am going to do this one. And then because somebody found out she took money from the Russians but didn't actually do anything, then they said, oh, she's actually a double agent.
Right.
Or something like that.
So in this movie, James Bond had an affair with her, which I think was fun. And they had a daughter together. But he then had to take her back to England to the firing squad, I believe was implied in this one.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So he was the agent that had to bring her in.
Right.
Originally. And that was just the one woman he ever truly loved, kind of thing. But out of that came Mata Bond, which is the dumbest name ever.
Yep.
Anyways, but yeah, so and Mata Bond was dropped off at a orphanage at 3 years old by him, and then she was given or ended up in some shrine somewhere as the virgin goddess.
Yeah,
and she was
like a
very
dancer
clear to say
kind of.
she wasn't a virgin.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff with her and her dad.
Yeah, she hits on her. She's like, if you weren't my father, I could. Yeah, I was
and he's like, blah, 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 blah. And then it's very. I wrote, that was my note, is that she's also creepy.
Yes. So I mean, I guess that's where the relation comes in. I was like, that makes me uncomfortable.
That he's a weird, gross horn dog, just like her.
Just like her. Yes, that's where she gets it from, at least. And right after my note about Mata Hari, it literally says, "What is going on?" !
Right. So, she goes off to spy school.
Yes.
Right. And which is in Berlin, so it looks like the cabin of Dr. Caligari.
Yes.
Right. So it's all these weird, crazy angles and...
See, I thought it was more looked like, what's that guy's name? I'm gonna keep talking until I remember what it is. MC Escher.
Right.
Like that room with like the stairs on the top and the bottom and the whatever, and it's got like all angles.
Yep.
That's all it reminded me of.
Right.
And I was just like, again, what is going on?
Right.
Because it just completely changed. And I know they were in West Berlin, East Berlin?
West.
West Berlin.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get all that brutalist look to it and everything. Yeah. But still, I was just like, you've gone way too far.
Yeah, and I think that was a joke, that thing. Because there's a film movement in Germany in the 20s called German Expressionism.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like. It had all those crazy angles and things like that. So it's a fun reference to that. I don't know who that's for besides me, apparently. Yeah. But it's also like, I think they spent a lot of money and time on that, and I just went, that's okay, that's fun.
Well, the thing is, I got the reference.
Right.
I was still confused, though. And I think it's that reason. I'm like, who is this for? Why is this here?
Yeah.
This, like, I understand it's German, but why was, that's the only thing that's going through my brain.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know.
Well, I guess it would be sort of if they went to like Japan and everyone was a samurai and had like no makeup on and like doing like the opera stuff. It was just sort of like that's how we viewed.
They do like they're all doing kabuki. For some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that means everybody would be male. So
right, which would be a twist.
That would be a twist. Yes, you'd be confused like, why is nobody throwing themselves at me? And you're like, oh, okay.
Why is only that one guy doing it?
Oh, it's so weird. And then James Bond goes to his hotel room, and there's a Miss Goodthighs that drugs him.
Right.
And then that's when I noticed Elizabeth Hurley's look in Austin Powers was completely Miss Goodthighs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Really? I found she looked, as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, no, it's not. It's somebody else, obviously, because this is 1967. But like her look was exactly like her, like makeup, her face, her hair, the way it's done. The part where she like Elizabeth Hurley dresses up in the Austin Powers movie is what this is like. It's not like her button-up shirt and pants.
Yeah,
it wasn't that. So I thought that was really interesting. So I was like, ooh, that's where they get it from. And then my note after that is, why is she for a magician?
Right.
So,
I did say Orson Welles likes magic too much. That was at the end of this page.
Yes.
But the German stuff ends with an art auction because they're selling secrets, right?
Yes.
Like that. So that's I drew the parallel to that in Le Chiffre's like short selling scheme in the 2006 Casino Royale, where he has like the Virgin jet blows up. So that's like the same thing. So like they screw him over and steal all these the secrets that he's trying to sell in a super racist art auction.
Yes.
And so then he has to go to Casino Royale to do the card game to get his money back.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because what is he doing in this one? Because I know in the new one, he's money laundering for African warlords.
Right.
But what is whose money is Le Chiffre losing in this one?
Well, in proper James Bond, it's Spectre instead of Smersh.
Oh, so he's got Smersh's money.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I believe
Okay.
he's in their pocket somehow. Like he
Somehow.
owes them money or something. I mean, that was I might have just been placing those two things together to try to make sense of what's happening. And I was like, oh, I get something happening now.
Well, that's tell you the truth. From that point on until, of course, the last fight sequence and stuff, like there's like a half an hour in there where I'm like, I understand what's happening because I saw the new Casino Royale and I could put these things together. You're like, oh, he's doing it for this reason because of the money, and then he has to beat him here, and blah 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 blah. I know something.
Right.
So that was good for me. One thing that got me about that scene though, was Peter Sellers when he did the quote, he did the racist voice as well. That was kind of painful.
Yes, he loved his Indian character.
Yeah, he did what? Indian. He did Japanese. He did 3 of them. It was Indian, Japanese.
He did Hitler too, right? In that scene, or was that a different?
No,
that was the photography scene.
That was the photography scene. He did Hitler. Yeah, that's right. We said that.
Yep.
And what was the other one then? It was 3 quotes he did. I can't remember. I literally just wrote, why does he have to do the voice with the quote? That's all I said. That's fine.
Yeah, it's well, he loves doing Indian characters. He did. I looked it up because I'm like, I know that there's a Peter Sellers brown face character. It's the party.
It's the party, which is. I mean, there are still parts in it that you can't help but laugh at, but it's super racist.
Oh, I'm sure.
Super inappropriate.
Really, I mean, but after this one, who would thought that he had a racist motive? Like, racial humor in the 60s is not,
it's not the
on
same.
the level, you're saying?
Yeah, because I just cringed every time he said a quote. I was like, no.
Where's Mickey Rooney when you need him?
Oh, my God. Ugh, don't even. I hate that movie so much.
I haven't even seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Okay. I think I've seen that movie for the first time within the last 5 years.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I should watch this movie. It's a quote unquote classic, and a lot of references in film today are made from it. Fine, I get that, right? And then Tracy sat down and watched this movie, and I hated it. Holly Golightly, though pretty, is a horrible person.
Yeah.
Right? You got this super racist element to it, and then there's a super sexist element to the overall movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why is this a classic? It makes there's definitely pretty scenes in the movie. I'm sure, right? But everything about the movie is bad. Like, I find the acting is bad, the story is bad. It's insulting to modern society, which usually I try to get over because I try to place myself in that time period. But I find even for that time period, it's offensive. You know, because the whole Mickey Rooney thing was just...
That's rough stuff.
It's rough, okay? And Holly Golightly being just a person who chooses to be oblivious so she can be a bitch to people. Every society knows what that is. She's there, you know? And then the way she is treated by all of the men in the movie is also brutally horrible.
Right.
You know? And you're just like, the only character I liked in the movies are damn cat.
Yeah.
Because cats are great.
Yep.
That's it.
Sounds like a pretty cool cat.
Yeah. Also, if you haven't figured it out, it's Breakfast at Tiffany we're talking about.
What? Oh, okay. Oh, I thought we were talking about Gone with the Wind.
Oh my God, there's a movie. I think I watched that movie the first time when I was like 9.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like it went on for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And just not understanding the movie. And I think because of that, because I think it is over 3 hours long anyways. So I've just never sat back down to rewatch it to actually be like, oh, it's, you know.
I think I watched it for the first time last year.
Okay.
/ only time. I don't know why I said first. I watched it last year.
Okay.
This was my only viewing. I did not like it.
Okay.
And my dad has told me this story a few times. He saw it probably in the 50s or 60s. And there's an intermission in Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
They were, thankfully. And he was like, okay, I'm ready to go. That was pretty good. And he's like, no, this is the intermission. There's another half.
More.
And he went, oh. And then and I agree with him. The second half detracts from it. I think that if you just cut it off after the war, it would be not bad.
Yeah.
If it was just kind of like, all right. I mean, that's not great, but it's like, you know,
it's a decent film.
It's not bad. I mean, it kind of ends on a weird note, and it's got some problematic characters because it's the 40s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that could. But then I think its biggest crime is that it goes on for another 2 hours.
You're just like, oh no.
And you're like, no.
It's horrible. The only movie I've ever seen in the theater that had an intermission in it was Dances with Wolves.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
I saw that movie with my mother.
Wow.
That was a bad thing.
That was a bad thing.
Also, it was a bad movie.
Oh.
I did not enjoy it. But also, again, that was I saw that movie when I saw it in the theater. So what year did that? Well, hold on. What year did Dances with Wolves?
Let's see if I've been really good lately. I'm gonna say 90.
I'm gonna say later. I'm gonna say 94.
Okay.
Okay, Dances. Oh, you were right. It is 90.
Yeah, I'm spot on.
Oh no, so then I would have seen it. She took me to see this when I was 10.
Right.
That is wrong.
My mother took my brother to see Pulp Fiction when he was 13.
Oh my god, no.
To this day, she goes, that was not a good idea.
No.
That was a mistake.
With all the cussing and the killing and stuff and the drug use and
Yeah, well, there's the gimp.
The
whole thing. Gimp, I think, was probably what's put her over the edge
Yeah.
for this was bad. This was I made a mistake here.
If my mother took me to see Pulp Fiction, she would have gotten up and left the movie about 4 minutes into the movie. Because she doesn't do swearing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they swear continuously. So I remember... So with my collection, I used to live with my mom, of course, mother. And I had the movie Magnolia.
Yep.
And I was out one day, whatever... And I come home and she sits me down and I'm like, what is... She's like, I tried to watch one of your movies today. And I was like, oh, which one? She's like, Magnolia. And I was like, oh, that's not a movie you're going to like. She's like, I know. And she's like, I think it's really inappropriate. And blah, blah, blah. And she started telling me about it. And she got about 10 minutes into the movie. That's as far as she got. Because I don't know if you remember it. So the movie opens with this guy talking about a guy who jumped out of a window. Mm-hmm. And then, though, it goes into the Tom Cruise scene where he's giving his speech about taming women. And it starts with, you have to tame the cunt. Now, he says that about 8 times.
So we're cool to say pretty much anything on this podcast is what you're... Okay, cool.
For right
yep,
now.
No,
There's a disclaimer at the beginning of it. There's a disclaimer. You've been warned, audience.
Yeah. C-word thrown at
C-word,
minute.
yes. I mean, I don't throw it in there often, but as I am referring to a specific quote from film, I have said it.
I'm giving you a hard time, don't worry about it.
Yes, you are. But, he literally says it in a different way about 8 times using the C word continuously. She turned it off at that point. That's less than 10 minutes in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I tried to defend the movie though, because the movie, from what I remember, also a movie I haven't watched in a long time, but we will get to it at some point in time. I really like that movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's
right?
Paul Thomas Anderson. And
And it's one of those, you meet 10 different people and then you see how they fit together by the end of the movie. And you're like, oh, there's a connection here.
Yeah, it's like his Altman kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So, and I'm just like, if she had just gotten past that point, I think she would have liked it. But there's no way in hell she will ever try to watch that movie.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I just left it at that. And Pulp Fiction would have been exactly the same way. She'd be like, 2 minutes in. Nope. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what's weird, my parents came to go back and forth. They just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and loved it. Mm-hmm. So they gotta go back and forth. I mean, that's not exactly a clean movie, so...
Yeah, but there's also a lot less... It's not continuous cussing.
Right.
It's, it's... An F-bomb's dropped, every 15 minutes. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, they liked Inglourious Bastards as well, and I think they enjoy the revision. My parents were both historians, so I think they enjoyed the bombacity of changing, willy nilly changing stuff around, and my mom was growing up in she would have been 17 in '69 in Southern California, so it's a neat kind of trip down memory lane for that kind of thing as well. But
did the movie get the feel of the time period?
I think she said that. It was sort of, she's like, yeah, I drove around a lot in the 60s in Southern California. So it was sort of and I was like, yeah, that scene where he just drives home. I think that's really neat. It's just kind of going down the road. That's what it's like.
Yeah. That's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah. There's a lot of driving in California.
Yes, because A, the transit system apparently sucks,
Yep.
and B, everything is spaced apart.
Yep.
And nobody wants to walk up all the hills.
Yeah, and it's all highways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never been, obviously. I do want to go at some point in time. Just purely because I'm obsessed with movies. I should go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's really one of those things.
It didn't really, I mean, I went when I was a kid because that's where my grandparents lived. We went during the summer, which I would not recommend based on, we've already had our discussion about what's too hot.
Yes.
And me being happy that summer is dying.
Yes. Oh, sorry, one quick side note. Literally today, before you showed up, I was on Instagram and some girl was like, let me show you how hot it is. She went outside and she was at it was like a metal railing or something and wrapped her hair around it, held it for 10 seconds, let it go. It curled her hair. That's how hot it is. So yeah, continue.
It's not great. So yeah, no, so it gets to be it's a dry heat there, but it's the middle of the desert. So it is, you get a blaring down, cooking eggs on the sidewalk heat.
Kinda. Oh,
yeah, it gets rough. So I mean, I'm sure the fall and winter is quite nice there. You get
lovely.
it's nice sweater weather.
Yeah.
But that's about it. It doesn't snow. Which I watched Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 last night, which it's always raining and snowing in Los Angeles, and I'm like, it's not like that at all.
But that's the future.
Nuclear winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is that in 30 years? We'll make it then.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I think my next note was the tiger tongue in the casino. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah, because the tongue wiggles weirdly and he sees it, but nobody else does.
Yeah.
They just walk out. And then later on, you find out if you push the eyes, it turns the room into an elevator.
Yeah. What's happening? I it's up there with the toadstool thing, where it's just this is just a weird touch that somebody worked on. Somebody put that in there, and I don't know why.
And then they also decided to keep it.
Yeah. Oh, it went through several people. Everyone was like, I like the tiger tongue thing.
Yeah.
I think that should stay.
Just make sure make sure all the parts move and stuff. I just want to, that needs to happen.
Yep.
I don't. Okay. Didn't get it. All right. What was after that?
So, Vesper gets kidnapped on the way out. So Peter Sellers, James Bond wins. Vesper gets kidnapped. He jumps in a race car to chase after her.
It is a Lotus Formula 3.
Yes.
Great.
I had to watch that several times because I was because of the next cut, right?
Yes.
This is why I had to watch it several times and hear the same quote in a foreign accent several times.
Yeah.
Because it cuts to him then tied up in a chair.
Yes.
And I went, how did that happen?
Don't know.
It doesn't show it.
No, it doesn't show it. It doesn't show any kind of chase sequence. It doesn't show him getting captured at any point.
Right.
It just shows him, I'm going to get in my car. And then apparently he blacks out and then wakes back up.
Right.
And he's in this chair with a hole in the bottom.
Right.
Which I thought was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Because my note after this was this part is very much like the newest Casino Royale, right?
Yep.
He loses the cards. Girl gets kidnapped. Bond is tortured, and
tortured.
He gets ball tortured, but it's still a chair with a hole in the bottom. Yep. So I was like, I get the reference. And then also I didn't understand the torture in this movie, which was light effects that made me feel like he's in different places.
Well, was he drugged? It got real because there was a non-real space, right? There's a white room full of smoke and soldiers in it.
Yeah, but then he was also on a battlefield.
Yeah.
And then what wasn't he in a jungle or something? It was 4 distinct weird scenes, and then finally you got to a bunch of people playing bagpipes marching around, and Vespa's one of them. And she shoots everybody with a machine gun, and I was
including Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Peter Sellers. I was going by the name in the credits at the beginning.
Yeah. So I was just what is happening?
Yeah, no, I think that it was a double cross, and she was stealing the money. I'm gathering afterwards.
Yes. Yeah. So then Le Chiffre gets killed. Vesper double crosses.
Yeah.
So. Again, my note after that is, what is going on?
Yep.
And then why is there a spaceship?
Right. Yes. The next part is in England, where it turned into a Monty Python sketch where an alien spaceship comes down and kidnaps everybody. Or like everyone runs onto it? How does everyone?
No.
Does everyone get on the spaceship?
Isn't Vespa on a horse and she's riding somewhere?
And then she gets onto the spaceship. She gets kidnapped again, or she jumps.
No, I think
she's with them.
She's with them. She like purposely gets on the spaceship.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
We need to apply logic to the spaceship scene.
Yeah. I don't like. It's just, and the spaceship flies and goes back to the casino.
Right. Why didn't we just stay at the casino?
Why didn't know. You're asking? No, I don't have answers to any of your questions. Okay. Every time I think about this movie, I have more questions. Yeah. That's it. And or maybe it's one of the things. It's a mix up between one of the 6 directors.
Yep.
They're like, oh, we left the casino. My part's in the casino. I guess the spaceship can go to the casino? Yeah. Sure. Let's do it that way. Done.
Also, James Bond Senior, Sir James Bond, James Bond Senior, David Niven, didn't seem that surprised by the UFO.
No, because wasn't like Moneypenny the Second looking out the window was like, there's a spaceship, and he was like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's 4:00. Yeah. It's tea time and UFO time. That happens every day.
Very normal.
Yeah,
very normal.
You're hysterical, woman.
Oh God, I was like, oh jeez. And then I put them trapped in the facility, which is under the casino. It's very Austin Powers. Like that whole sequence is Austin Powers. And then the fact that I saw like the Dr. Evil like ladies come in with the machine guns. I was like, oh my God, fembots. That was my note. I was like, okay. And the Debussy song comes back on. And I made a note, it's the same song used at the end of Ocean's 11 when they're at the waterfall.
Oh, cool.
You know, after they've done the heist and they band together and give each other knowing looks and then walk away. Yeah,
based on another movie from that kind of era, like the Rat Pack, like casino movies, right?
Yeah,
that's
the Rat Pack movie was Ocean's 11.
I was thinking of the new one. Okay. I was thinking of the new one.
What I'm saying is that is from the new one.
Right.
But you're saying like the Rat Pack casino movie. I'm like, that's Ocean's 11.
It's another movie based on another movie with a contemporary and 60s.
Oh yes.
Remake cycle.
I know what you're saying. Yes. Let's put it that way. And then happens the fight scene in the casino. Yeah,
okay. So it's revealed that Jimmy Bond is Dr. Noah, who is Woody Allen. Yeah. And oh no. Like so he is the one throwing young girls at James Bond at the beginning. His plan is to unleash a biotoxin to kill every man over 4'6". Yes. Which kind of made me laugh.
Well, because he wants to be the tallest man in the world.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he says, yes, I undressed them and tied them up. And I went, oh, no.
And then he goes into another room and there's a naked woman on a thing with like 2 big metal things trapping her down.
Yep. It's rough stuff.
It was all hard to watch.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, and then there's the big saloon fight.
Yep. And the Americans arrived on horseback for some reason.
The cavalry came in. That actually kind of made me chuckle. I got a good laugh out of the Americans are here, and then
my note after that is what is going on.
Again. And then
And then doesn't somebody don't like I'm gonna say Native Americans show up, even though they yell Indians 800 times in the movie, and they show up and start fighting as well. And
my last note on this entire movie is Geronimo, and then I quoted, "Oh no."
My last note is, so they all die at the end. Okay.
Good. Yeah, we can't come back to this.
We can't.
Oh, and they all sing in heaven. That is the end of the movie. Yeah, there's a little thing.
Yes, they do sing. Oh, yeah. Okay, I put that out of my head. Yeah. Okay. And maybe that's what the okay refers to, not the fact that they die at the end.
Yep. Just singing with their angel wings and harps.
Yes, and it made no sense.
Yep.
But I do want to say one thing before we move on to the next movie, which was on the DVD special feature. Did you get the same DVD?
I had the Blu-ray, which I believe had almost nothing on it except the movie. I didn't even go to a menu first.
Really?
Yeah, it was strange.
Well, this one actually has quite a bit of stuff on it, including there was a TV show in the 50s called Climax with exclamation mark. And they actually did an episode of Casino Royale.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched the hour-long episode that was on
Oh,
there.
cool.
And that was way better than this movie.
That is the first motion picture James Bond.
Yes.
So that is actually the first actor to portray James Bond is that television, and it's American, right?
It is American. They made them all American in it, not British. And I thought it was very funny that they had Clarence Leiter in it, whereas in the new movies it's Felix Leiter.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say new movies, I'm talking about like even like the Sean Connery ones. It was Felix Leiter instead. And then I stopped making those apparently. I don't know. But I think my brain had melted at that point. I was like, I can't.
Do you think that's what they were referencing? Because they talked about how all the other James Bond and all the different places were being killed or kidnapped or what have you. And the one that has his namesake, he said, which he says that, oh yeah, no, we had to take him off the map. He's doing television now. There's like some weird joke to that effect.
Yeah.
Also, I enjoyed that all the other secret agents got killed in bordellos.
Yeah.
That was actually like a pretty funny joke.
Well, because that was one of the reasons why 007 Senior was just like, the spy craft is going downhill. Right? Because everybody dies in bordellos. Yes, that was the joke. And I was like, oh, I see what you're making reference to. Haha.
Well, yeah, no, it takes a weird stance, this movie, because like I said, it's sort of like, oh, we want to go back to pure spies, and we don't want all this like weird sex stuff, but then it only does weird sex stuff the whole time.
And just because you're not having sex with people doesn't mean it's not weird sex things.
It's almost weirder.
It is.
This somehow makes like original James Bond look like weirdly progressive in a way. Like it somehow like reversed the polarity of original James Bond.
You want to throw yourself at me, then I will accept you.
Yeah. At least in those, he's just like, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
It's not like you want to throw yourself at me, let me throw you to the ground and kill you. You're like, what? That makes me uncomfortable. But yeah, any
Yeah, don't watch this. This wasn't good.
I agree. I must admit, I actually remember the reason why I bought this movie was because it was the only James Bond movie I had never seen. And I didn't actually want to start buying all the James Bond movies because there's too many of them and the collection just keeps getting bigger. And I was like, oh, well, if I buy this one, I'm not tied to buying the rest of the collection, which technically you aren't, but knowing me, I would want all of them. But also, it's a new movie. I get to watch it. Yay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of the two non-canon James Bond movies.
Yeah, because it's Never Say Never Again.
Which is now the only one I haven't seen. I haven't seen Never Say Never Again.
Oh, that's the one that has Kim Basinger
in it. Yeah. I have not seen that one. I've seen all the other ones. So that is now the only one I have not seen. You have not seen. Yeah.
Ah, okay. But it's funny. I think that one came out the same year as one of the other ones.
Is it View to a Kill same year, or is it? It was in the Roger Moore run.
Yes. It was one of the Roger Moore, because it was right when they did the switch over between the two of them. Right. And Sean Connery was already making this, but something about the studio he was working with, they couldn't get licensed for. There's a very specific thing. Yeah. It's either it's not the 007, it's like the James Bond or something. Yeah, you can't use in it. Right. Yeah, and that's the thing that was like copyrighted, and it was like, no, Ian Fleming did not put his stamp of approval on this movie. It's not a James Bond movie.
That movie's nuts. I mean, the whole story behind it's nuts. Yeah. So it's because it's all contractual disputes, and like I think it's a remake of Thunderball. It's a Thunderball movie.
Oh yes, actually, kind of is. Except this one, that one they don't go into space. They go. There's a submarine. Yeah. There's a crashed a ship that they take bombs out of. Right. Compared to trying to turn a moon base into a weapon to destroy stuff.
Right. Yes. Okay. I haven't seen it, so I can't.
But yeah, no, have a look at it.
Okay.
I actually don't think it's a horrible. I think it's very on par with all of the James Bond movies at that time period.
Right.
I don't think it's bad.
I mean, but as I said, this movie, Casino Royale, was weirdly prescient because we have a really old James Bond.
Yeah.
So it's like he wasn't even like it's making jokes about future James Bond movies somehow.
Yeah.
Where he's creepily old with all these young women.
Well, and that's true because the in that movie it's a really young Kim Basinger in it. Who's all like, I'm in love with James Bond, and like they end up together at the end of the movie, and I'm like, ew.
And I think he's in his mid to late 50s in that movie because it's Sean Connery again, and it's the 80s, and he was James Bond in the 60s,
and he was in his mid 30s when he did that first movie. So, yeah. Well, I mean, talking about sexually inappropriate things. Let's talk about this
so much less creepy movie.
I watched this movie yesterday.
Yeah.
In around this time, actually, like 3 p.m, because I'm like, I don't want to watch anything creepy too late at night. It ruined my day. It ruined my day. It put me in a shitty mood after, and I was not happy about it. And I mean, I haven't seen this movie in probably 10 years. I haven't watched it. And I know it makes me uncomfortable because I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, and I don't know why I would have bought this movie, but maybe because it's cinematically, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's got some neat stuff.
Yeah. You know. And I saw this movie in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater.
It was a big deal when it came out. I remember it being like a thing. It was sort of, I guess it would have been like, hey, it's like, you like The Matrix? Well, here's another crazy, mind-bendy, spectacular looking movie.
But this is definitely more horror-based than sci-fi-based.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that makes me most uncomfortable about it. And, and the thing is, it's a lot of, sexual violence that just grosses me out.
Yeah, no, it's I guess the first place to go is if this is not something that you're specifically wanting to watch, don't watch this movie. Because like one of my very first notes on this movie is this movie's trying really hard to be fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's a serial killer movie that's post Silence of the Lambs.
It is.
So I would venture that I'm gonna make a thesis here that I can't fully back up. If you're making a serial killer movie that's trying to be shocking after Silence of the Lambs, you are trying too hard. Because that movie is the ultimate, like, oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot top that. And if you try to top it, you're trying too hard.
But I think they tried to, as well as like Silence of the Lambs and like you mentioned, The Matrix. Put those two things together. So you have the ability in this other world or the mind to create whatever you want. Right? And to make it as messed up as possible. And just so you know, if you look up The Cell on IMDb right now, the background is ads for It. Chapter 2.
Yep, there you go.
So it goes together. It goes together. But yeah, this movie made me thoroughly uncomfortable. And I did a little research on the director guy.
Yep.
And I realized I hadn't seen any of his other movies except for his Losing My Religion video by R.E.M. that he did. Yeah,
he's a music video dude.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of research on it as well, and a lot of the influences are music videos, which I think as we go on, I'm going to throw in some of those because I wrote down some like that's this video, that's this video, that's this video.
Well, he did a movie called The Fall in 2006, which is actually a movie that's on my list of things to watch.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize he had done that one. He also did Mirror Mirror, which I think is weird.
Yep.
That was that Cinderella movie, and he did Selfless. That's that Ryan Reynolds movie as well, which are all movies I never got around to watching.
I think The Fall is sort of along lines of this movie, where it's a lot of visual imagery that doesn't add up to a whole lot.
But is it like so
for creepiness
disturbing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that it's along like because he's a stylist.
Yes,
like,
he's very much so. Yeah. That is for sure. He's definitely a stylist. Because everything in this film like is just so specific. You know, like every shot is this very specific thing. Which I usually, if it's not in this creepy level, I enjoy usually. But at this level, I'm just like, please stop.
Yeah.
I need you to stop doing that.
Yeah. No, it's it's real gross. And like it's sort of, it's frustrating because the movie tries to have it both ways, where because it works hard at the beginning to show how this man is very evil. Like it really goes into his crimes very explicitly,
Yes.
and very much into his methodology of it, which is incredibly disturbing to watch.
Yes.
But then at the end, it tries to sympathize with him, which is a little icky.
Well, because they also made reference to that early on, where they where like Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn have a discussion about how like kids can go through horrible things and be not serial killers,
right?
Whereas, you know, so that therefore there's no excuse for being a serial killer when you get older. And she's like, I don't think so. I don't think that's how that works, you know?
In a real life setting,
yeah,
I would sort of agree that we should be sympathetic to people that have gone through traumatic experiences and it manifests itself in unhealthy ways later on. However, I don't have to see them doing it.
Yes.
So this movie is really showing me.
Yeah, and they get into detail about like his full process, what he does to the bodies, and why he does it. Yeah. And it's just a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's not fun. Like it's like horror movie violence can be kind of fun. Yes. I mean that like when people see like Friday the 13th movies or Freddy movies or whatever.
House of Wax or
they're kind of cheering for the kills in those, which is gross in its own way.
Yeah, because you sit there and you're like, some guy gets an axe to the face. You're like, oh, you know, it's that kind of thing where you watch this and you just start curling up into a ball more and more and kind of like shifting away from the screen. You're like, I don't want this.
Yeah, with a man with Anton Sugar hair walking around.
I actually, tell you the truth, when I saw him first in the movie, I was like, oh, that's what his hair looks like in this movie? Because all I can think of is No Country for Old Men.
Right.
And I was just like, I hope he doesn't have a cattle prod anywhere. It was fine.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff.
Wait, hold on. Was Anton Sugar the character?
Yes.
Oh, see, I thought you were making a different reference. Oh my god.
Sugar hair.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. I also don't like that movie.
You don't like No Country for Old Men? I love No Country for Old Men.
My like, I don't. How do I explain? It's not that I think the acting isn't good or like the cinematography isn't good or whatever. It's just that the movie is pointless.
It's a very nihilistic movie.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, because I remember I've watched the movie twice. The first time I watched it, at the end of the movie, I was like, why did I watch this? Yeah. Then this, because I was like, oh, maybe I missed something. Right? Because it's a Coen, it is a Coen Brothers movie. I love Coen Brothers movies. And so then I gave it a second chance because it's a Coen Brothers movie. There's probably just some level I'm missing, whatever. Have another look at it. And I was just like, nope, it's pointless.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's the point that they're making with the movies, that everything's kind of pointless. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's sort of like Fargo, where like at the end of Fargo, you're kind of like, whew, all right, I'm going to go do world stuff now.
Yeah, but I think at the end of Fargo, I felt like I went on some sort of journey.
Right.
Whereas that movie, I didn't feel like I went anywhere. I didn't feel like I did anything. I just saw some guy kill some people. And I was like, and now the movie's over. You're just like, okay. Yeah,
I mean, the Coen Brothers kind of vacillate between kind of very hard satire movies and kind of light fare. Yeah. So I think this is definitely in their nihilistic, what's the point of everything kind of thing, where just like a whole bunch of stuff happens for no reason and weird coincidences and stuff like that. I dig it. I mean, that's just sort of and it's a Western, which I enjoy. So, you know.
Yeah, no. It just missed a whole bunch of
fair enough.
For me. I was like, nope. Don't need it.
Well, I'm going to have to watch that again for my podcast.
Yeah. Well, then watch True Grit. Then. I'll come on for that one. Mind you, their remake of True Grit really is kind of shot for shot, because then I went and watched the original after I saw that one. But then I realized there are elements, like older movies, for example, don't have as much music in it. Their Foley work is a little bit lower, or a little bit too harsh, actually, I should say. Yeah.
Mixing wise,
and like watching the original movie was like pulling teeth for me. I was like, oh my god, hurry up, do something. But watching their version of True Grit, even though it was like, I'd say about 85% pretty much the same, I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I love these characters. I like what's going on.
I've only seen that one once. I haven't watched that
Yeah.
again.
I've only watched it, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I watched it in the theater and I liked it. I just didn't. I think it was after, because it was the one right after No Country, I believe.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And so I was sort of like more on board for like that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
it sort of was. It was a more straight kind of Western, which I enjoy.
It was, yeah.
But it was a bit of a letdown compared to. I think I was just. It was like the Pulp Fiction to Jackie Brown thing, where it's like, you know, I'm like on board for a certain thing.
Yeah.
And even though the thing I'm watching is really good,
Yeah.
it just isn't what I was expecting
No, I
at
really
the time.
didn't like Jackie Brown either.
Really?
I didn't.
When was the last time you watched it?
I don't know, but I'll watch it when I get to the J's.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's fine.
It holds up better than you would think. Like it's more of a crime caper
Yes.
than his other things, and I think that it suffered a lot because it's the one after Pulp Fiction.
Okay. No, but the thing is, I didn't watch Jackie Brown in order.
Oh, okay.
No, I watched. I think it was probably one of the last movies of his I watched.
Oh, okay.
Overall, like I think I watched it probably after Kill Bill or something,
Right.
which actually is more closer to that blaxploitation style than his other movies.
Yeah.
So I was prepared for it. I was like,
Right.
ooh, blaxploitation kind of style movie, and it's a character that was around in the actual 70s, and they're bringing her back. I'm like, oh, let's have a look at this. I just didn't think it did anything or went anywhere. It was another one of those things.
I think if you don't expect it to be a blaxploitation movie, because it's like I said, it's an Elmore Leonard book, so it is not like people thought it was going to be a blaxploitation thing because it's Pam Grier.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just she's just in it.
Yeah.
And she plays like a really cool character, and it's sort of like money moving around and people stealing stuff and double crosses and things like that. And
Like, so usually when I watch movies, like, yeah, I have an impression of what it's supposed to be, but if it's something different but it's done good, I'm fine with it.
Right.
I just didn't think this was up to his standard.
Fair enough.
Like his,
Yeah.
you know, like I didn't think there wasn't a proper build of suspense. There wasn't a proper, like it's not even that you care about the characters that he provides. It's you have a thorough interest in these people. Like
Right.
you don't care if they live or they die, but you're just like, that guy's cool. What's gonna happen? You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas I find with this movie, it's like that suspense wasn't there. I like his characters were just so flat.
Right.
Like it just didn't come across right. And maybe it has to do with the fact that it was one of the few things that he's done that is not all his work.
Right.
You know, like it wasn't. He's based it on something else completely.
Right.
He didn't just sit down and have an idea, wrote a script.
Right.
And had a style in mind. It was just something completely different.
Right.
So maybe that's what the problem is.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm a big Quentin Tarantino guy, so I've already talked about him here for no reason. So it was it's the second time I brought it up.
And it's acceptable, don't
Yeah.
worry.
So back to this guy.
yes.
I thought he was albino at the beginning.
He is not.
He is
no.
not. His dog is.
His dog is albino.
Which is why I thought that he was.
He bleaches the women that
Right.
he kidnaps.
Yeah.
And turns them into dolls.
Yep.
But his whole home is completely white. If you notice when they walk through, except for the room in the attic where he's got like all this stuff stuck to the walls.
Yeah, which they show and then don't come back to until the end of the movie.
End of the movie.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, are we not going to go to the crazy collage room that he has?
I mean,
Everyone's like, you got to see the basement. Wait, he has 2 crazy serial killer rooms in this house?
He does. Yeah, he collages the walls in the attic and, you know, does horrible, gross things to people in the basement.
I feel like he could have cut down some transport time if he just built his little weird table in the desert with his big water tank.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me just would have made more sense.
Yeah.
But
just not good serial killer tactic by mine.
yeah, but also he's mentally disturbed, so
Right.
I don't really think he was thinking.
He likes
about
car
logistics.
rides. It didn't go into road trips as a kid into the movie. Maybe that was part of it.
He doesn't. Or maybe his dog just likes car rides. So he's like, "Come on, get in the car with me. We're going to go for a ride." You know, that's it.
That was a good
That's
dog.
all.
I like the dog.
Yeah, she
I
keeps
enjoyed
the
the
dog
dog.
at the end, and they're
Yeah.
like, "That's weird. She's keeping his dog." I'm like, "I'd keep the fucking dog." The
It's a
dog's
little
great.
weird.
It's fine. But it's
She
a nice
watched
dog.
the dog like as a puppy around a person being disemboweled.
Yeah, he's
And
like,
she's just
padding
like,
along.
I'm going to keep that dog.
Actually, one thing about that scene in particular is that the dog talking about like Foley artists, the dog padding along is turned up very loud in that scene, and you can clearly hear each footfall of this like happy little pitter patter going by as this guy is literally elbow deep in somebody's viscera.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, this makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, the whole thing makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I mean, I thought it was like, oh, neat. Okay, he's an albino guy. I mean, it's a little weird that like we're making the weirdo person the bad guy, but like, or quote unquote weirdo. But then it wasn't. I was like, oh, he's just really pale.
Yeah.
Okay, and just really likes white stuff.
Yeah, and then it's like the persona in his mind, though, that character is very pale.
Right.
So, well, no, you said you've never seen it, but like my picture of his character in it, because that's why I was shocked when we first were introduced at the beginning of what he looks like. I only could picture the like bad version of him or the king version of him in my head, because I guess those are the images that are more impactful than, you know, some guy with bad hair and a button-up shirt. Like, yeah.
It's pretty early on that like we catch him.
Yes.
Right? But he has suffered some sort of aneurysm type thing.
It's a psychotic break from a specific type of schizophrenia. Right.
So it's a physiological like brain issue.
Yes.
Which is what brings Jennifer Lopez in, who is a therapist.
She is a therapist that is working with these science people for her consciousness to be allowed into the mind of people who are like in comas and stuff to see if she can get them out of it. Because for some of them, it's not a physical thing. It's like they're just out. Like the kid she's working with, he had like a psychotic break because he saw something horrible on a beach. So it seems like based on like watching the movie, he had a break and like fell into this catatonic state because he went to a beach and saw baby seals being killed. Right. And he's now afraid of water, and all of this kind of weird stuff was going on, and his mind just couldn't handle it. So he went into this catatonic state. Right. And she's trying to be like, it's okay, don't worry about it, blah, 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 and kind of like coax him to wake up. Right. And so they're using this to get into this serial killer's mind to find out where his last victim is. Because he has no family, no relatives, no nothing. It's just him. Right. Yes.
So the seals is the only connection I could find between Casino Royale and The Cell.
The seal?
Yeah, there's a seal in the fight at the end of Casino Royale.
There you go.
And I was just like, why? What is happening?
Really? Women as objects wasn't a connection?
Nope. Seemed completely normal to me.
Seals it is. We're going to go with the
specifically with seals.
Gotcha.
Well, so then the dollification thing, I watched Blade Runner last night. Yes. There's a lot of weird doll stuff in that too. Yes. Something's going on. Yes. Watching a lot of stuff.
The thing is the first Blade Runner movie, Daryl Hannah's character, she was the pleasure model, right? So she was used as a object, and she always dressed up as a doll. That was like her thing, right? So that's where all the doll imagery and also the guy who's the fixer, he likes to make things. He has things. He likes making toys. Yeah. So and that creepiness kind of went into it as well, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yep, a lot of weird doll stuff.
Yes.
Don't like that.
Yeah, I mean inherently dolls are fine, but movies and TV shows like to make them fucking creepy. Yep. They do.
So I wrote down, after he has the bathtub scene, and he has this break, there's all this like crazy demonic like sounds playing. Yes. And so I wrote down, is this a demon thing? And then immediately no, because he just fell on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, later on, inside his brain, like his like persona person has like all these devil horns and stuff. There's a lot of devil imagery with him.
It's not just devil imagery, it's imagery of kingliness and royalty as well. Because even the first time you are introduced to him, he doesn't have any horns. It's a bald head that he has, but it's in a beautiful gold room. You know, and he's shirtless, but he's wearing like this bright red, long, ethereal, silky bottom thing. And then, but the what is it? The rings he has in his back is connected to this royal purple thing that wraps the room. You know, so it's all very royal and rich, that kind of thing. Yeah. And you're just like, what the
seems perfectly normal to me. I don't know what.
Totally normal. My thing is though, is like, if you're a king in a room like that, getting you set up would take forever all of the time. Right. That is a lot of material to go around the edges of that, to hook in, for you to have to just get up and walk somewhere to do something.
I mean, does he think he like gets a buddy to help him with the rings? He's like, he can't reach them all, so he has to like get like one of his dolls to like come and like connect them. There's a weird like wrestler doll too.
Yeah, which I didn't understand. Like, I don't know if that's one of the dolls, like he killed a person like that, or if it was like that's just one of the personas in his mind.
Right. I think that like the movie implies that all of the dolls in this 9 Inch Nails video that we're watching is one of the victims that he's had. Yes. However, one of them is like this bodybuilder lady, which was a very odd kind of, and she seemed to have more agency because she was able to get up and walk around.
She was like his security guard.
Right.
You know, just like, oh, somebody's in here messing with it. Oh, no, we got to get her out, you know.
Yeah, and there was like a horseplay one too, like in like the S&M horse gear, which was an odd jump as well.
No, but all of them were kind of really weird, though.
Yeah, I mean, they were all in like weird sex things. Yeah. Like all in BDSM kind of imagery stuff. I
started thinking of the what is it in Hellraiser?
Okay.
What are they called? This Suburio or
I think that's one of the few like horror franchises I have not seen. I haven't seen the Hellraiser. I
have not ever been able to sit and watch it.
Right.
But I have read about it, and apparently one of the things in the box is that it opens a door to a dimension where people are weirdly sexually tortured, and there's lots of like, right. You know, what do they call, like, rains on your face,
right?
And whips, and they, you know, pull open your skin and nail you down for fun. I don't fucking know.
Well, like the horror stuff is like a subculture of S&M. Like that is a thing, which is why I thought it was odd, because it was like weirdly like a lot of the other ones are kind of vague. S&M kind of things.
Like a ballerina. But her hands are like tied behind her back.
Right.
And stuff. And I was like,
yeah. I mean, that is pointing to that kind of stuff. But like, I felt the horse one specifically was like really pointed in like a weird way.
Like, oh, this one. We got one.
This one's weird. Let's throw that in.
Actually, one of my notes is like, whoever does the set design for this probably didn't enjoy their job very much. There's no way. I mean, if they enjoyed their job, I would have been really worried on this, because especially not just the scenes like in his mind, but even like the scenes in his house, or setting up the weird trap thing that's underground with the drowning the girls and everything. Like all of it is just,
it's very immaculate and very like, not immaculate, but very constructed, like, and very precisely done. Which is, I mean, I guess that would be like, it's the same kind of person like whoever would make the Saw sets. Like it's a similar kind of like, this is really elaborate. Yeah, and detail, like, and super detailed. Like they made sure that, you know, like everything in there was a reference to something, and a lot of the stuff that they showed when they showed around the rooms are referenced in his mind at some point in time, which I thought was really cool, that you can make the connections, but also gross me out because it's like, oh my god, that means it's you know, it's one of those things. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of, oh my god, I just put something in. We're gonna talk about something else later, and I just figured something out because it's one of my favorite little details. But before, there was a line that really got me early on, before Jennifer Lopez goes into his mind the first time, and they're talking about the metal hooks in his back, or the rings, and she goes like, he liked being suspended, right? Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And then he goes like, yeah, no, they like the feeling of weightlessness, like, which they're in the water. And I'm like, that's not what that would feel like. No. That would feel really heavy. Yeah, well, that's the thing, because that was one of my thoughts too. I'm like, no, wouldn't you really feel the weight of it? If you're feeling, you wouldn't feel suspended. If you had like 100 hooks, maybe, because like you're distributing the weight differently, but you're only on like, he only had like 10. Yeah. And I'm just like, no. Nope, not at all. That comment made no sense to me at all. And we watched that drowning video 3 times. In the movie, yeah? Yeah, I was not pleased about that. Nope. I was really mad. And because I have a thing, especially with horror movies, where if I'm going to witness what happens to innocent people, this is really a weird kind of like bloodthirsty rant I'm about to go on. I need to see it happen way worse to the perpetrator at the end. Like the comeuppance at the end, I need to get the catharsis from that. So if they're going out of their way to show like the horribleness of his crimes at the beginning, I need something spectacularly awful to happen to that person at the end.
Which doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen at this. And I had a sneaking suspicion from the beginning that was how it's going to be.
Well, because this is not like a revenge movie, you know. It's more of, like I said, a horror thriller. It's not about getting back at somebody. It's about something happened and we're looking into it in this weird way. Yeah. And that's it. And he sort of is forgiven and gets to be released from his pain. Right. But not in a horrible, horrible way as you wanted to.
No, the ultimate one is the remake of Evil Dead. That is my favorite. That is my go-to example of the perfect.
I could not watch it.
Would you like me to tell you what happens at the end of it?
Go right ahead.
So spoiler alert, everybody who hasn't seen the movie from 6 or 7 years ago.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
So at the end of the movie, she's like goes out. Because it's her versus like the demon. There's a personification of a demon in it. It's literally raining blood. Okay. And then the climax of how she kills the demon is a chainsaw into the face. It is the ultimate.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, it is the most satisfying, and I've said this to several people. It is the most satisfying ending to a pretty mediocre movie I've ever seen.
Okay, so you're thinking that's a mediocre horror movie?
It is. The remake is pretty mediocre.
Okay.
The original Evil Dead 1 is also pretty mediocre. Evil Dead 2 was a masterpiece. Yeah. And then Evil Dead 3 is a comedy. So.
Well, it's called The Army of Darkness.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dead,
yeah,
so you need to get your shit together. Thank you. Yeah, no, I've said this before. I don't do horror movies very well. There are very few horror movies in my collection. And I was like, I like the campiness of the original Evil Dead movie. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go have a look at this. And then I saw the trailer for the movie and they just showed that one scene where she got like the box cutter and she cuts her tongue open. I was like, no, I can't.
Oh, I don't even remember that. The only thing I remember is the ending of that movie.
No, that's literally the thing that's burned into my head about that movie. And I'm like, I can't handle this.
It is definitely taking itself very seriously, where the other ones don't. I mean, the first one sort of takes itself seriously. I mean, but it's not as good.
Well, because it was super low budget. It was really campy. And tell you the truth, Evil Dead 2 is pretty much Evil Dead 1 trying to, on a higher budget. Yeah. You know, and then Army of Darkness was just like, forget this, let's make it fun. Yeah. And they went somewhere completely different. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just haven't been able to, I can't do it.
So I had a sinking suspicion from the very beginning that it's gonna be front loaded with victim, like visual pleasure from victimhood, like all the like horrible stuff happening to innocents, and then not get the satisfying catharsis at the end, which is, spoiler alert, kind of what happens. Yeah. It's sort of a mercy kill at the end, and it's like you just kind of feel like, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody else besides her wanted to be like, no, he needs to wake up so we can punish him properly. Right. And she was just like, but he's a little boy on the inside. We've got to save him. Yep. And then she realized she couldn't save him, and then she drowned the little bird. Yep. Right? There you go. So I was like, okay.
I wrote that the first time we see the Emperor, he looks like a boss from Mortal Kombat 2.
He does. Yeah. Yes, I agree with you, for sure.
Finally, that is put to screen in a proper way.
Wait, aren't they making either a new movie or a TV series? Yeah, they're bringing everything back. So
like I think they made like a bunch of direct-to-video Mortal Kombat movies.
Yes, they did. Yeah. But then they did that like gritty, real-world, quote-unquote, one on like YouTube, and it was a bunch of like 3-minute
Oh, I don't even remember that.
They showed like the death of like Luke Cage and all that kind of stuff. Not Luke Cage.
Liu Kang and
Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage, yeah. Death of Johnny Cage. And I was just like, these are really cool. And they were vying to make that style of movie. Right. And I don't think they got it. Yeah. Because that was probably about 5 years ago now.
Yeah. I feel like it was like
a Kickstarter
or something. They were trying to like get funding off the grant for it, I think.
But what they did was like fantastic.
Yeah.
Like for even like just like a little video on YouTube that's for free, it was super high production quality.
Yeah.
All the fight sequences looked cool. It looked really like it was very violent, of course. And I was like, I would watch that. Like it looked kind of like the new Dread.
Right.
Dread, like it was that kind of level.
I liked that movie. That was a fun movie.
Loved that movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie I really shouldn't have liked, but I loved it.
Well, it's a lot like The Raid. Like it takes the same kind of like, hey, we're gonna do a video game thing where it just goes up levels,
right?
And then the boss is on the top floor.
You're like ding ding ding.
Yeah.
You know, it was good. It was really really good. So what's sad is that they haven't made a second movie in that genre yet. But I also think if they did, they would ruin it. Yeah. Just like Raid 2. I really hated Raid 2.
Yeah, Raid 2 was not very good.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they went back, they probably might ruin it. So,
yeah. No, probably.
Kind of okay.
I saw that at the Midnight Madness. I saw the Midnight Madness of Dread.
Yeah.
And it's Carl Urban in that, right?
Yeah.
And he, like, at the beginning, he's like, okay, I just want to say at the beginning, get ready, motherfuckers.
I would have loved to see that. That would have been amazing. And then it was worth every minute of it.
It was super fun.
Yeah, and you want to talk about comeuppance at the end of the movie for being a bad person? She gets it.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yep.
So, yeah.
How do we feel about Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn in this movie?
Okay, first of all, Jennifer Lopez is a weird person to me.
Yeah.
About 80% of her films, I think, why are you in this movie?
Made in Manhattan, yeah.
Yeah, and the other 20%, I'm like, oh, okay, you did a good job.
Right.
This is on the fence of both of those things, where I'm just like, I kind of understand why you're here, but at the same time, I don't think you're doing it right.
Yeah, well, I think, back to what I said about this guy being a stylist, I think his two main... I think Vincent D'Onofrio does a pretty good job in this.
Vincent D'Onofrio does an amazing job.
He does a pretty... He's a solid, creepy dude, and then has like a lot of ups and downs and does a lot of stuff. Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Lopez don't do a whole lot. They're rather flat.
Yes.
But what the movie needs them to be is sort of a doll where they have to fit into this tableau that this person's made and have them move around in it. So they are serving a purpose, but they're not doing acting in the best way.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And I realized the other thing too, especially with Vince Vaughn for me, is I have to admit, I expect him to do something funny every 2 minutes.
Right.
So I was just like, oh, he's gonna do something funny, right? Something fun's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna happen. Oh no, it's not.
He's gonna say money.
Yeah, right. And I was just like, so like he's gotten to a point in his career now where I just think he's supposed to be funny, and he's funny looking to me.
Right.
So why aren't you making me laugh right now? So it just made me kind of like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. He was still like really young in this too.
He was.
He looked really young for the character he was playing.
Yeah.
Because he was already a DA before this, right? And then went to the FBI. Wasn't that the story?
Yes, that was the story was, because he got some guy got off on a technicality and he said this horrible story about some girl getting killed.
Yep.
And I was like, that was way too much detail than I needed.
Yeah, that's another one that they really needed to lean in.
Yeah, and
on how awful it is.
Yeah, but I understood at that scene why it was really horrible that what he did, because he was really trying to convince her to go back and be like, no, you got to save these people because these horrible things are happening. But also the details that he gave were unnecessary. Right. You know, just like you could just said he went in and killed this girl, not, you know, all of the other stuff which I don't feel like reliving right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, at least it didn't show it. I'll give the movie that restraint.
Yes.
That it didn't be like, here's a flashback and everything's black and white and backwards.
Yeah.
And then
like, oh my God, please no. Yeah. So even without the flashback, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah, no, it was. You are absolutely correct.
Well, and the thing is, too, is with everything else you'd already seen in the movie, you could already sort of picture the visceralness of the scene that they were talking about. And you're just like, nope, no, don't need it.
Yep. So he's pushing her to go in.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to really grasp the severity of, or the danger of... He's like, oh, you can do that? Yeah, do that. And he's like, wait, hold on. Like, she could be seriously, shut up. Go do it. Just go do it.
And then he goes in and then he gets
Yeah, and then he's like, why did anyone do that? No one should do that.
Right?
Have you been in there? Holy shit.
That shit's fucking messed up, man. It is messed up. You're just like, no. Because the whole time, like, after he comes out, the rest of the movie, he's just like, oh, Christ, what the hell? Oh, my God, don't know. Just listen to what I'm saying. Like, that's him the rest
I'm
of the
gonna
movie.
helicopter away.
Yes, this is how quickly I need to leave. I'm not going to take a car. I'm not going to wait for people to tell me where to go. I'm going to get in a helicopter and we're going to fly away. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. Because he makes like 4 phone calls and tells them, hey, get back to me and give me information. And then he walks out of that room and gets onto a helicopter going nowhere.
Right. He's just, I don't know where we're going yet. Let's just go.
We just need to get away from here.
I'm going desert.
Yes.
Please take me to desert.
I need nothingness and calm, okay? Let's just get out of here. That is it. And I was like, oh, okay, now you understand. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
So then we go into, after she goes back in a second time.
Yes.
And that's when we get his whole backstory as a child.
Yes.
Right? Now, this is the part I wanted to come back to, because this has one of my favorite tiny details.
Okay.
That weirdly, like, for a movie that is devoid of any humor, this made me laugh really hard. So, first of all, it's horrible to watch. Like, the abuse that this child is going through is truly...
It's horrible to watch. It's a horrible, like, because there's a scene where you're not even seeing it, you're just hearing it, and it is just...
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
So, there's a scene where he's yelling at this child about his mom leaving them. Mm-hmm. And how this the woman on the couch isn't his mother.
Yeah.
The man's in his underwear.
Mm-hmm.
This is the detail. He's holding a leg of fried chicken, and he's using it to point.
Okay.
That was someone's idea.
I feel really bad for laughing because what he points at with that leg of fried chicken is horrible. But now I'm just like, oh my God, he was holding some fried chicken. Oh, jeez.
But what I made the connection to a minute
I'm sorry,
ago...
hello, KFC product placement.
Yeah, no, exactly. Where can we put in our... Can he be drinking a Dr. Pepper? No, okay, we can't have him drinking a Dr. Pepper. What if he's holding a leg of fried chicken and he goes, yum, yum, in my tum-tum? And he's like, no, I think we'll cut out the line. We'll have him keep the fried chicken, though.
No yum, yum in my tum-tum. We'll just get him to point at some things. Yes.
But there's all that bird imagery. That's what I clued into a minute ago.
Oh! Oh my God! Okay, so that's what you're getting at. So he's like, he told this story about Mercy killing this bird. Yeah.
And he's like, my father would do something horrible to it.
Yeah.
And we have an image of the dad holding a piece of chicken.
Oh, doing something horrible with it.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. I did not make those. Yeah.
You know what? You just went up half a star.
My God. Okay. Yeah. No, I did not put that together at all. Okay. Great. I have notes like the guy who plays Dr. Reed, which is so when the guy goes into the coma and they take him to the hospital and he's explaining what's wrong with him. Mm-hmm. That doctor with the shaved head. That guy creeps me out. Yep.
Oh, he has that eye thing.
Yeah, because the first thing I ever saw him was in The X-Files.
Right.
And he did an episode on Rui, I want to say it is, and he tries to lobotomize Scully in it.
Yep.
So that's all I ever think of when I see him. And he's been in lots of... He was in, like, The Titanic. He was in... I think he was in The Departed. Mm-hmm. He's been like a cop in a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. But every time his face comes on screen, I get a guttural like
yeah, no, he plays a good creep. Because he sort of has a look, and he has this eye disorder where it makes his eyes jut back and forth. Yes. It doesn't actually affect his vision; it just looks really weird from the outside, and it's really interesting to see. And people show it really well. So, like, this movie is another one. He's not a creepy character. All he does is point them to Jennifer Lopez's people. Yes. But yeah, no, I get the same. I have the same thing,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even figure out why. And I've seen that X-Files episode. I just didn't put it together. That's what it was.
And he plays. But no, but the thing is too is that in almost everything else, I think there's only one other movie I've seen him in where he played a creepy character.
Yeah.
And everything else I've seen him in, he's played like a cop or like the good. I mean, he was in Constantine, and he played like that weird priest dude who would see the demons. Well, I guess that's kind of creepy. But like most of the other things, he was like a cop. Like he was like the good guy.
Yeah.
You know, or he was helping the good guys in some way. And it's just like this one instance that he did such a good job at playing this creepy dude. Yeah. It is tattooed on my brain, and I just get a gutter reaction every time I see it.
That happens to actors quite a bit. Yeah. I think there was some actor, I can't completely recall this story, where he played a child molester on a TV show or something, and he was so convincing that he would get harassed on the street.
Oh, really?
For being that, yeah.
But that's like also the kid who played Joffrey on Game of Thrones.
Yes,
he gets things thrown at him on a regular basis.
Yeah, he gets people call him a cunt.
Yeah. Oh God.
We both said it. We both said it.
We both said it now. It's done.
It's even.
It's there. I was actually reading about this movie too, where Vincent D'Onofrio's wife, after they went to the premiere of this movie, they saw it together. She refused to sleep in the same bed with him for about 2 weeks after seeing his performance.
That's nuts.
And but I mean, you must admit he does an amazing job at being horribly, disturbingly creepy.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, but it doesn't look like him though. He also it's an interesting. He plays the demon version of himself too, right?
Yeah, he plays both.
And he looks like a completely different person. Like it's pretty neat. Like
how they do it.
Yeah, no, I mean the makeup that they do on him to have him as two different characters is pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic. Yeah.
But I guess too, like even the scenes where he's like a guy, like even when he shows like the first victim scene or whatever, which is a lot, a very squishy scene. Like even like his kind of like slow kind of, this was my first victim, I made a mess, blah blah blah, and then something happens, and remember he gets up and goes into the darkness and comes back out as the king or whatever, and I'm just like, oh my God, not something that I need to see.
And at that point, the stakes are raised because Jennifer Lopez then forgets what reality is. Is that the?
Yeah, because it attacks her, and she's trying to press the thing on her hand that signals them to bring her out. And he separates her hands and then throws her to the ground, and she gets disoriented. Okay. And so then she starts to believe that this is reality. And that's where the danger comes in. Right. And that's when Vince Vaughn's character gets put into it to wake her up, quote unquote, right? And that's when you see her in her, cool demony kind of garb.
Yeah, she gets kind of like a Queen of Sheba kind of doll thing right?
Going on. Yeah. And
it's an odd premise that like on a dime, someone forgets reality. Like that's a weird kind of jump.
Well, they say it's not about forgetting reality. It's about getting lost in somebody else's reality. Right. Because she's not in her head. Right. She's in his head. And that's one of the reasons why she's insisting that she's like, no, I want them to come into my brain because then I can control the environment to make it better. Right.
I wonder if that's going to happen later on in the movie.
I don't know. It's not like they brought it up like 5 times before.
So Vince Vaughn jumps in. And he jumps into a Smashing Pumpkins video.
He does.
Yeah. And then he gets the crazy music crank intestines thing.
Okay, so I just want to say this one thing when Vince Vaughn goes in. Yeah. I said his like sequence going in reminded me of the Winamp visualizations that he used to have.
It really whips the llama's ass.
Yeah. Because that's all I was thinking of. I was like, oh my God, I used to listen to really cool like drum and bass to this one. Right. It's great. Yeah, that wasn't my note. I interrupted for no reason.
No, that's good. Yes. I got to make my fun Winamp reference, so I'm happy. I think that might be coming back. I think Winamp Classic is back.
I hope so.
I wrote down that the tiny teeth that he has in this scene, that Vincent D'Onofrio has, creeped me out more than the intestines thing. Because he has these tiny little teeth.
Does he?
Yeah, he has super tiny, like, baby teeth inside his, like, regular size like mouth. And so he's, like, got, like, a lot of gum and, like, tiny teeth. It freaked me out. But
the whole scene freaked me out.
Yeah, no.
And then I started to analyze the king's garb in that scene when he's like rolling the intestine. I'm like, but that outfit is super whimsical. And if he just didn't have on that makeup and be all creepy, it would have been like Wonderland. Like,
yeah, he would have been like. I mean, I think there is a lot of Wonderland stuff in this one as well. Like the scene where she fake goes in, where she thinks that she's still awake, but then doesn't, and she shrinks. Yeah, that I'm like, oh, it's an Alice thing. Okay, I get that. But yeah, no, he looks like he's in a parade float at the end of that. He's like, I'm the Pope of Whimsy.
Except you're gonna cut open someone's stomach and roll their intestines on a thing. Yay!
Yeah, the Pope of Whimsy. Look at my crazy hat.
Yeah, and he does sit there and giggle as he's doing it. He's like, oh,
yeah, he sings a little song.
Yeah.
Which is like, I told you I've been watching a bunch of Twin Peaks lately. He sings like the same song as like the killer does in Twin Peaks. Oh, there's like a little song, like a little ditty that he goes around. I don't want to spoil Twin Peaks for everyone because it's like a deep watch.
The reference.
Maybe. It's weird.
Wait, the original or the new one?
It's in season 2, so that would have been 91.
Okay. Yeah. So the original.
Yes. But he goes like, but yeah, he sings a little ditty that's like, hey, that's what so-and-so sings, and...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I should try and watch Twin Peaks again, because I don't remember any of that. Gotcha.
So, she wakes up because Vince Vaughn says that her brother died.
Yeah, so it connects her with
reality. Yeah.
And then he wakes up.
And then he bails fast.
Well, yeah.
He's like, I'm out of here.
Well, no, because that's when they follow the kid, and the kid shows them the room first.
Tank, yeah.
The tank, yes. And then she's trying to connect with the kid, and he's like, I figured it out, and grabs her. Is like, we need to get out of here. Because he's had enough. Well,
like, he gets a clue, because there's, like, the symbol on the tank is, like, the same symbol on the, like, carving table.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, did you guys not look into that?
Yeah, like,
that symbol before?
My first thing would have been like, hey, what is this? I guess we should look into where this came from.
Yeah. I mean, somebody made this table. Let's just go on and not look at it again.
Yeah, which, like, I don't understand why that's how he made the connection.
Right.
But maybe because it's on the tank, he's like, maybe the table has a connection to the tank.
Right.
And that's the thing that he put together instead of, oh no, he just bought a table at this company that makes industrial things.
Yeah.
So,
you know, they make tables and giant tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duh. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that was like sloppy work.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
You're just like, that's just
it was to jump to him doing the chase. Yes. Like, he needed to get there really quick.
Well, they just needed I think they just needed a different clue. Like, not just one big clue, but like, you know, in the room, there's like 5 different symbols, and you're just like, oh, I remember seeing this, and all the symbols go together or something. And then he's like, I think I know what it is. And then they do something compared to, oh, this symbol that we showed half an hour ago in the movie already, that we're just like, oh, like, because they showed it nice and clearly earlier on in the movie, and then they show it again, and I'm like, okay, it's there. And then they go back, and they're like, oh, it's on the table still. You're like, yeah, it's etched in there. It's not going to go anywhere.
I think that he didn't really know. He was just like, I need to get out of here. Here's my excuse. This symbol. I figured it out, everybody. I've got it. Let's get the fuck out with my intestines intact.
Yes. You're like, it's not real. It's not real. They're there, right?
Yeah.
I like the first thing when he woke up was like, what? Yes. It was all there. Yeah.
Not yum yum in my tum tum.
Yes. So, yeah, and then they go on this chase, and she decides to go back in and reverse.
Yeah, she does the worst scientist thing I think I've ever seen.
Yes.
Which is like, I'm going to lock everybody out, and I'm going to bring him into my brain, not knowing how that's going to work, because she's never done it before. And my first note in that scene is she seems to think a lot of herself. Because she's like the Madonna in her brain.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the heart-shaped box video, for those keeping track at home. We're now in a weird half heart-shaped box video and a No Doubt video.
Well, actually, one of the things that I noticed as well, because when I found out that the director did the Losing My Religion video, so the scene where he killed his first victim was right where he was telling her the story about he had his first seizure when he was being baptized.
Right.
And that room looks like the Losing My Religion video.
Right.
So it's like, oh, he's losing his religion.
Oh, yeah. Religion. And he backs into a corner.
And then he backed, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, that's me in the corner.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, that was I needed to pause for a moment and take all of that in. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah, so and then throughout the whole thing it had a lot of course religious references. And
the intestine thing was explained as being like a Christian torture or something,
a torture device from the Middle Ages to test for witches, I think it was,
probably something like that. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I love the fact that like back in the day to test if you're a witch is like throw him in a river. If he drowns, they're not a witch, but if they live, they're a witch. Like
then we'll have to kill them.
They might just know how to swim.
Yeah,
no. Okay.
Because they're made of wood and they can float. I think we all know how witches work. Those floaty bastards.
Yes. And one of them too was if you set them on fire.
Yeah.
If they live, they're a witch, and if they don't, they weren't witches. Yeah. And they're like, oh,
once again, because they're made of wood. Wood burns.
Wood burns. Yes. I love history. It's great.
It's full of fun.
It is. It's full. It is.
Once you look deeper, it's always LOLs.
Yes, LOL is totally the term I would use.
The LOL ages, right? That's what it was.
So hold on. Okay, so at this point in time, so Vince Vaughn is in the real world, going, I don't know where I'm going. I'm on a helicopter, and she's like, "Kid, this guy is in my mind now." Mm-hmm. And the little kid version of him shows up. Yep. And then he starts being covered in bugs, and then says, "He always finds me." And then the bad version of him shows up in her brain too.
I don't know what she thought else would happen besides that.
Yeah, but then she turned into like Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
And shot that stuff down quick.
Yeah, I wrote down, back to my point about being bloodthirsty, wanting revenge at the end of this movie. The nipple rip, pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did cringe at that part.
That's like, ooh, that one's rough. Which is weird that actually made it into the movie, because I know that kind of stuff in other movies gets cut out for like an X rating. Like, it gets like...
But I think the problem with this movie is I think a lot of the stuff in it on a regular movie would have gotten it like R rating and stuff. But because this takes place in the mind, it's not real. Right. Okay. They kind of get away with it because that happens on like for example, one of my biggest things about violence in cartoons is Samurai Jack. Mm-hmm. Technically, on average, it gets a G to PG rating per episode. And the reason why, even though he's cutting up things, throwing things are blowing up, he gets away with it because they're all robots. Right. Even though there's tons of scenes where, quote unquote, oil is spewing everywhere and on things. But as soon as this last season that came out to like finish the season, it got a PG-13 to R rating on episodes, because they actually had people getting killed and there was blood in it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened with this movie, is that, no, it's not real. It's in the imagination. Yeah. So people will know this is not really happening. But in the real world, nothing actual violent or horrible is going on, except for the serial killer automated killing process.
Was the blood black when it came out during that?
Yes, it was.
That's how they did it. Yeah. Because that's how they did it in Evil Dead 2. They changed the blood color to avoid the X rating. Oh. Yeah. That's why, like, blue blood and green blood happens all the time.
Oh, isn't that what happened in Kill Bill as well? In they went black and black, They went like, black and white for it, too, yes. Because they were going to get an NC-17 rating, which meant they weren't going to get the viewers or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah, no, like, it's that when you get an NC-17, certain, like, large theater chains won't show it.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe my explanation is completely wrong. It's just
No, you're right. That's absolutely true. You change the color of the blood to lower the rating.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like I'm guessing you that is a completely true thing. Is like they put the nipple rip in, they could keep it because it wasn't a real person because it was black blood rather than red blood.
Yeah. So, yeah, but even I did do a lot of cringing when I.
Oh no,
when I
it's
saw
super
that.
rough. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I know that Itchy the Killer, they cut that scene out.
Ooh, yeah.
Because there's a nipple cut in those,
Yes,
and that gets
I know.
cut out on the.
I've seen it.
Yeah. I don't
and
need to see it again.
I've never watched the whole movie. It was one of those things that my brother was watching the movie, and I walked into the room at the wrong point, and I walked back out, and I was like, no, and I left.
No, it's bad.
I couldn't. I can't.
I used to be a bit more of a daredevil with things, and so I've seen kind of real fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really do that so much anymore, but that was sort of my, like, I would say the height of my, maybe not that one particularly being the height, but that was the time of my height of, like, I can watch anything.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
No, I've definitely gotten to a point where there are certain things I don't need in my life, and I'm like, I don't need this, don't want it.
Nope.
I'm gonna walk away from it.
I'm gonna pass. Hard pass on that one.
Hard pass, yes.
And then she mercy kills the kid. That's the way to end it.
Yes.
And then kills the real one as well.
Yes, because he suffocates in his dream.
Right.
So he suffocates in real life or whatever, because he's lost in his mind. So to him, that's the real world.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. That one sort of tracks. It's not satisfying though, and
it isn't. I don't think. It's satisfying.
Like a Madonna baptizes him and drowns.
Yes.
Yeah.
So his soul can be free or whatever. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that.
Yeah.
Do I have anything else? Oh yeah. Vince Vaughn frees the tank girl. Yes. Which was nice. Mm-hmm. However, there's a bunch of electric stuff in that room.
Yes.
Wouldn't that like electrocute the water and kill them all?
I mean, I don't think he was thinking about that at the time. Yeah. But also the thing that bothered me about that scene is that she's in the corner up here.
Right.
And then he's like moved to the back, and then he proceeds to shoot at her through the glass.
Yeah.
Which I was like, maybe you should have just told her to stay to the side.
Yeah. No, I feel like he was not a very good FBI agent.
No.
He also went in alone.
Yes, which seemed foolish.
Yeah.
And because it was only him and the helicopter dude, and the helicopter dude stayed in the helicopter.
Yeah. And he knew what was in that room.
Yeah.
Because he's seen the tape of the other one.
Yeah.
So like, he knew what was there.
Yeah, but he doesn't know if there's going to be like booby traps or something.
Yeah.
Because everything's automated, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Who knows?
Yes. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for my notes.
Yeah.
There's a little denouement at the end where they're at the house.
And and this is the part where they go through the stuff and they show pictures of things that are stuck in his wall, and you can make references to things that are happening in the dream world.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of clever. I mean, it's sort of a backwards clever. It's showing you. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit like, look how good I am. Yeah. I figured, look at these cool references I made.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they even like some of them to me were super blatant. Like the Damien Hirst reference was super blatant when he cut the horse and it's split and whatever. And I was like, oh, it's the shark in the tank thing, or whatever. And some of the like devil references, royalty references, all that kind of stuff was very clear and blatant.
Right.
But I mean, like some of the minute references, I was just like, but they're not necessary.
Yeah, well, it also doesn't really justify why he's so into these art pieces.
Yeah, no.
He's like a very well-educated, he has like a rogue scholar, but also a serial killer, where he's he's like, I mean, it's doing a Hannibal Lecter thing, where he's somehow very, very intelligent.
Yeah, he knows all about history and torture and medieval devices, but also still reads, whimsical fairy tales and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Sure. Like, nobody ever said, hey, there might be something wrong with you at some point in time in your life, because I think in the movie they make reference to the fact that he's stepping his game up. So they at this point in time they'd found 7 bodies like this, and he stepped his game up because the last time he killed, he waited 6 months, but this time it was like a month, or something, and I was just like, so he's been running around for like a couple of years, is what you're saying? And
and well, they're getting closer together, so at least a couple of years.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, no, they're not very good at doing stuff. I mean, it also implies that he wants to be caught.
Yes.
And everything we've seen so far does not imply that at all. Like,
No.
it's all very methodical, and he doesn't seem to have any sort of problem with anything that's happening, like any sort of conflict within himself.
Because the thing is they bring up that fact because he dumped the body in shallow water this time, and there was a single dog hair.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think you understand what wanting to be caught means. He would have left like fingerprints and here's my address and
exactly.
on there.
He wrote a calling card. He was like, "Catch me, Batman."
You know.
And Batman's like, "Holy shit! What the fuck is? Don't call me on this."
Like, no, this is not
what
my
I do.
area. No, this is not what I do at all.
I'm the Bam Pit Batman. No, you got to get that other guy. I don't think he's.
Can we get Christian Bale in the film?
Yeah,
Thank
no.
you. Okay, he'll come for you. But I was very disturbed by the end of this movie. And...
Yeah, it also sort of weirdly posits like capital punishment as being mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. So I kind of was like, ugh, that's kind of weird, because like it also like the Vince Vaughn character is very kill them all. Like, he's very like
kill all serial killers, kill all bad people who did bad things at any point in time, because they might do more bad things.
Yeah. So it's like it's in a weird way, it's very reactionary as a movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So I had some problems with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, like I have a lot of problems with the overall story and stuff, but I can't not say that it's not visually arresting.
Yeah, there's some neat stuff in it, and I made a lot of jokes about it being music videos. I actually enjoy music videos, especially like in that like the 90s and 2000, like early 2000s music videos where they're big grand productions, and like that's where a lot of like really good directors started. Like Fincher did some music videos, I think, and Spike Jonze used to do music videos, and Michel Gondry did music videos. Like, you can start with that germ of visualization as being like a neat thing, but you need kind of like the more substance to it to kind of justify it.
Yes, yeah. That's like when Spike Jonze did Be Kind Rewind, and you're just like, oh, it's just a bunch of music videos stuck together.
Right.
Gotcha. It's not working. It's neat stuff, but it's not working as a movie.
Yeah,
you know?
that was Michel Gondry. Yeah.
Is that Michel Gondry?
That's a Michel Gondry one.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Wrong reference. I apologize.
That's fine.
Why did I think that one was Spike? Wasn't there one that Spike Jonze did that was kind of like that too?
So he did Being John Malkovich, adaptation.
Loved it.
Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking.
That's the one you're thinking of.
I fucking hate that movie.
That was not a great one.
I hate that movie so much.
Are you you're a big fan of adaptation?
I'm a decent fan of adaptation.
Do you remember the Donald Kaufman's idea for a movie, The Three?
Was this made reference in adaptation?
Yes. So he was like, it was a parallel storyline where Donald was also writing a script, and he's like, I have this great idea. Yeah. This FBI agent's tracking down this serial killer, and he always kills in threes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the movie I'm watching.
That's right, because the brother is taking like a screenwriting course, and and
he has all these hack ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it last year at some point in time. So
I love that movie. That is one of my that's a favorite of mine.
I actually got an angry message from one of my friends because my friend who came on and did the episode really hated it.
Oh, really?
And she was like, how dare she hate this movie? This is ridiculous, blah 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 blah. It is a work of art. And I was just like, it's people's opinions. I don't know what you want from me.
No, that was one of the early ones for me. It was like, oh, I get this. This is super clever. Like its turn is like one of the most brilliant. Like, because it's the most self-effacing movie, because it's like oh, I'm such a hack, and then the end of the movie is a hack ending.
It is,
and it's great.
And like, I mean, I totally understood what my friend said about it being Well,
oh, right,
'cause-
it's an A movie. You've already done it.
yeah, I've already done it, right? So I totally understood what she was coming from, and I agreed with her. There are some really cringeworthy sequences in the movie as well that don't age that well, but kind of are meant to be uncomfortable because that's the characters in the movie and all that kind of stuff. But I also get why it's considered to be a great movie just because of how the movie's put together.
Yep.
So we kind of went back and forth on that whole thing. So yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, well,
I get it.
this is more of a Donald Kaufman movie.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not a movie I think I will watch again if I want to, stay sane.
Yeah, no, I had some dreams afterwards.
Yes.
Like, it definitely, and I don't think they were particularly horrific, but they definitely used the weird imagery from the movie when I was going to sleep that night.
Yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff. Like, what is it? There's the scene where Vince Vaughn first goes into the mine, and it's like the three ladies.
Yep.
In the thing, and that's based on some like
It's a painting,
Norwegian, weird Norwegian dude's painting. And I looked up the painting, and I was like, even that painting made me really uncomfortable.
Oh,
I was
really?
Like, yeah, I'm gonna post that just so people can see.
Fun.
It too. It's gonna be great. Yeah. So overall.
Yeah. I would say no to both of these.
Both of these movies, yes, I agree.
I would not recommend.
I mean, if you're into like visual tales that warp your mind, you can watch The Cell.
It might be it would be a neat thing to like reference as a like for either color, because like the color's really neat in it.
Yeah.
That would be like a neat like to use as a palette, but taken out of context.
Yes.
It's a much better movie taken out of context.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
And Casino Royale is difficult to watch for very different reasons.
I will give The Cell another point where it moved along pretty quick. It did not feel that long.
I don't even think it's that long of a movie.
I think it's almost 2.
No, it's it's 107 minutes. It's less than an hour. It's less than 2 hours.
It moved along pretty quick. Casino Royale was over 2.
Yes.
Which was rough.
And it was, oh my God, it took forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours and 17 minutes. And it just kept going. And I was like, why isn't this done yet?
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing, you're not doing anything. Why are you still going? So that was the whole thing. But yeah.
Yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed this again.
Yes.
We did not go for 3 hours this time, I don't think, because last time we went so long. I think I was sweating from talking.
You're like, oh my God, I've talked too much. Well, anyways, yes, this was fun. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We'll definitely have to get you back for maybe more upbeat or just generally better movies.
Sure. whatever you want. I'll take all comers. I devoured these with a fervor.
Yeah, well, because you said at one point in time, you're like, I like the weird stuff.
Yeah, give me some weird stuff. I just said I've been going through Twin Peaks, and that is weird as weird can go.
And I think the one thing you said you wouldn't do was Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I don't want to watch that again.
Which is totally fine, because I had a friend who saw it on the list. She's like, I have to do this movie. I'm like, what is wrong with you? I am not looking. I'm glad it's down the line, but I'm still not looking forward to doing that episode at all.
I don't know if I recounted this last time I was here, but I watched it once when I was like 13.
Oh, yeah.
And it fucked me up real bad. And then when I was like 16 or 17, I was like, this can't be as bad as I remember. And I watched like the last like half hour of it. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much worse than I remember.
I've watched the movie exactly once.
Yeah.
Because I bought the DVD because somebody recommended it to me. I was like, it is such a good movie, blah, blah, blah. And I think I was in like HMV or something, and it was on sale. I was like, ooh, $10, whatever, I'll get it. Went home on a nice, warm, sunny day, put it in. And I was at the end of that movie, I was so happy it was like middle of the day, nice, not raining or anything, because I probably would have died.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it's, ugh.
Yeah, no, I don't take drugs. That is, I get it.
I'm telling you.
Don't take drugs.
Show little kids that movie. They'll never take drugs in their life. They'll be fine.
I am a testament to that.
Yes. Yes. Again, well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send me emails at ohmyshelf@gmail.com. On the next episode, we'll be talking about the movies Chaos Theory and Chasing Amy. Hope you'll be here to listen.